It is. It worked. Properly. I was just waiting patiently. I am. I was just waiting patiently. Correct. You were so right. Hi.
I never got to say hi to Waddy.
Okay, you can say. Oh, and now the other one's in here too. She tried to bolt in here, man. Did you see that? That's funny. Wow. I gotta move this thing so I can freaking see it better. The Lord can't even hear me. Gotta defeat this heretic. Dang, bro. That's crazy. What's going on, everybody?
Bro, I just looked so dumb, bro.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What happened?
1 John 5:7.
1 John 5:7, what about it?
I didn't. So I jumped in on live just because the guy, I haven't been doing debates in a long time, but the guy was talking about 1 Samuel 15, wiping out the Amalekites. So I just jumped in there and was like, hey, so you think that they unalived everybody? And that's morally wrong. They say, yeah. I said, okay, can you jump to 1 Samuel chapter 30 for me, where the Amalekites come back? Like, okay, so then we're in agreement that obviously not all the Amalekites were wiped out.
Yeah.
We see them 15 chapters later. So then I finally got them to agree that it's just the way that they spoke at the time. They spoke as every battle that they wiped the other enemy out completely in totality. And then it got off package from there, and he asked, can you show me anywhere in the Bible where it says Trinity? And I just jumped on 1 John 5:7. Did you know that was added? Apparently, that's not in the original Greek manuscripts.
No, I mean, it's in the original Greek manuscripts, like the verses in the original Greek manuscripts, but it's the way that it's worded in the KJV is not.
Dang. I was like, he read it out to me about where it was added in like the 14th century.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm going to be honest, I don't have a response to that.
Yeah.
So in the original Greek manuscripts, what does it say?
I think it says the water, the blood, and the Spirit instead of the Father, Son, and the Spirit.
Okay, who would the water be? The water would be the Father.
Well, so the water, the blood, and the Spirit, it's referring to like the salvific like nature of like everything, like the blood of Christ, the water of the baptism, right, and then this Holy Spirit.
Okay,
That would be kind of like all of those. That seems to be what the original verse was denoting.
I gotcha. Yeah, then he jumped into, can you show me anywhere where Jesus says, quote, I am God? Said that's an exact word fallacy. I'm not going to jump in that.
John 8:58 is verbatim by that, though.
What is it?
John 8:58.
John 8:58? Dang it, dude. Why did I forget about this? This is why I never really jump on either. I just wanted to correct them on. I get so tired of the Amalekite argument.
Yeah.
Because we can see them later. Like, we know that that's not what happened. John 8:58?
Yeah, just read it.
Here we go. Jesus said to them, most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am. Dang it, dude.
They literally said, how did you know Abraham? You're not even 50 years old. And that was his reply, bro.
Completely forgot about that. Oh. But yeah, I just got stumbled on 1 John 5:7. I was like, whatever. And then you went to the exact word fallacy, and I was like, look, I got to go cook dinner. Good luck to the rest of your night. I was really just coming here to talk about 1 Samuel. I get tired of the Amalekite argument.
Unc, do you think that N hypostaton is possible with EED virtual distinction? What? Isn't there like people who make arguments against like the Roman Catholic understanding of N hypostaton or whatever, because like they'd have to like they kind of make an argument against it being like a logical incarnation or some shit. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's good or not. I have no idea. Never looked into that. So, yeah, like I'm not sure if that would be considered problematic. I haven't looked into that. I think Lewis actually might know about that. Actually, Lewis, do you know about that?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
So you know how Michael makes the argument all the time,
Which one?
where the logical incarnation argument against Catholics.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like what was kind of like the premise of that, or like regarding like how ADS entails that in a way.
Yeah, because basically what the question is what would be the difference in terms of God's relation to his human nature,
Yeah.
as compared to the relation God has to us,
Yeah.
for example. And the relation is exactly the same. It's a logical relation on God's part. They don't allow for real relations because they think that means there's some kind of change and it can be problematic for ADS. And so basically, for them, the human nature is its own whole. So the union is two wholes where the human nature has a real relation to God, but God doesn't have a real relation to the human nature. And I just don't see how that's any different from what Nestorius believed. Because Nestorius believed basically in two wholes.
Yeah.
You've got like two particulars, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah, two particulars that denote two wholes, like in finality or something like that.
Yeah, whereas for us, we say things like composite hypostasis, because at the level of hypostasis is composite, of course, and that's what the fathers say.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that helped you at all. I blame Kant, but that's if you believe in the distinction between EED to be virtual, there are arguments that do exist. I haven't looked into them, so I'm not gonna blurt them out. But there are arguments that people have made in the past that if you affirm a virtual distinction between EED, that would necessitate either that the incarnation is not an actual incarnation or not a real incarnation, because that would denote some form of change that's not possible in God,
precisely.
even in their own view, or their understanding of EED would have to be changed in a way. I don't know too much about it. Like I said, that's all I know about the argument. That's why I don't ever use it, because I don't know too much. But I do know that there are people that make arguments like that, like Michael. He does that on his lives. Sometimes he makes that argument against Roman Catholics all the time, actually, about how their view would kind of like implicitly entail a logical incarnation, per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also another point, the fathers speak a lot on the divine energy energizing and deifying the human nature of Christ. But this can't happen under the Roman Catholic view because there is no deification to be done.
Yeah.
Under their view. Yeah.
If God has given each person free will, and the independence to take choice of good and evil, then how does he know our choice? What? Wait a minute. Wait. YouTube's geeked today. All right. So if God gives you free will, your argument is that God can't know your choices. That's the argument? That's the entailment, huh? I honestly, I have no answer for that. I'm going to say I don't know how that follows. That's my problem. I don't even know how that follows, like, in any way. The Trinity is a false doctrine. Our Father is the Holy Spirit, and Jesus is his incarnation. That's an interesting form of modalism.
Hey, Bryce. So if you have a kid, right?
I got 2 kids, yeah.
Okay, so if you asked them what they wanted for dinner, either boiled Brussels sprouts or pizza, did your foreknowledge of knowing that it was going to be pizza make it not free will choice for your child?
I see. Yeah, I see.
So your foreknowledge doesn't change the free will of somebody.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Larson? Oh, you said it. Sorry, I'm just inquiring. Sorry, it just the question confused me, Larson, because I don't think I've ever heard somebody ask that question like that. Basically saying, like, if there's free will, then how does God know? Well, I mean, it's just because if God gives us the choice to be able to do things, and if he's all-knowing, he would then know all of our choices, but that doesn't necessitate that then he would be the one to perform all of these choices for us, right? Okay. Who did Jesus pray to? The Father.
All right, I got one more question.
You're the modalist. Why did you ask that question? Oh wait, no. Therefore he doesn't have to be Unitarian. Who did Jesus pray to? I'm confused. And that guy's not the modalist. Never mind. Dude, freaking YouTube's bugging today, man.
Hey Bryce, can you be deified by a creature, Bryce?
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can be brought to God status by a creature.
Exactly.
Hey,
You just got to create
more
another
questions for you,
creature
Bryce,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
energize you.
yeah.
before I leave. So I haven't really got on TikTok much in a while, but I remember last time I got on, there was a guy that I thought if I put him in a room with the Pope, he would beat the Pope with his bare hands, and that man is now a Catholic. What in the world happened?
Oh, he just read a couple books and was like, "Yo, papacy's based."
Wild. I was confused.
It's whatever. It's whatever, bro. At the end of the day, like I would just pray for him at this point. That's all I gotta
Are
say.
you going to debate him on it?
I'm,
Or
I'm
have y'all
debating.
debated?
I'm debating Talon formally. I don't really care to like keep conversing with Jay right now. I'm just I'm just like helping
Oh,
him
so
with
you're
his
not talking
vain.
with him about it?
Yeah. I'm helping him with his vain glory by constantly trying to have conversations with him. There's no point.
I gotcha. Yeah, I didn't even know you had really
He
talked
needs
about
to. He needs to like actually go like discern his faith like in private instead of trying to make everything a public statement. So
it. Yeah.
maybe he'll figure it out.
Well, take care. I'll be listening in. Thanks
Yeah,
for
sure.
making me remember that
Sure thing,
verse
bro.
in John. I'm done.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of just how I'm holding to that for now. So I'm not really too concerned on giving that man the light of day, because all he's doing is just trying to debate for glory purposes at this point. Considering the first time actually I attempted to have a conversation with him, he refused to do it in Discord and he said it had to be on a TikTok live. So intentions can be shown implicitly is all I'm saying.
The Maskinos.
Yeah.
What's going on, Lois?
What's up, schoolboy? How you doing, man?
Been a while.
Good. Just hanging out.
Sick, man.
Yo, schoolboy, do you know about the 2v2 debate me and Bryce are going to have soon?
I did see that.
Yeah.
May it be blessed, guys.
Yep, definitely.
You're happy about that, dude. I was scared. I was scared he was gonna back out, Lewis. I'm not gonna lie to you. He had a conversation with me. I think it was yesterday. He got mad because the post that I posted, it didn't say "Is Jesus the Most High God according to the Scriptures," and so he was like starting to like back away from the debate. And then he even said, "Also, we're looking for more hosts as well because I want to get more. I want to get more exposure." And I'm like, okay. So first off, I'll change the thing. So don't worry about that. And so like I'll just change the thing to say according to the Scriptures and church history. Sure, fine. If you need to specify it, then we'll do that. But then he was like, yeah, we're also looking for more people to host. And I'm like, okay, so what do you have in mind? And he's like, oh, Libiano offered. And I was like, are you serious? No. I was like, that's insanely stupid. You're gonna let Muslims profit off of this conversation? Muslims. Like
Yeah,
I don't care how big he is, bro. Like don't let freaking the Orthodox Muslim, don't let Libiano help out with a debate like that, because all he's doing is just promoting the negativity in like Christianity, like in their view being divided. Like what?
Yeah. By the way, Bryce, scroll up in the TikTok chat if you want. There's a guy said Lewis is so nonchalant, and then he goes, the way Lewis subsists.
What?
I don't know. The way I subsist.
What's up, Skeech? Skeek?
What's up? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, man. What's up?
I have a question.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, so I'm Muslim, just so you know. But the question is, because I've gotten multiple different answers from different Christians. So do you guys believe that all the authors of the Bible, right, at the point in time when they wrote the Bible, were they all godly inspired?
It was inspired when they wrote it. Yes, correct.
Oh,
You have
When-
you have people that say no to that. I'm confused.
Yeah, so basically somebody, I don't know if you, I think he's a Coptic. I think Kai, he goes live a lot. And he came in my live. I don't know if you know him.
No.
But he basically said the stories that they wrote, those are godly inspired, but they themselves were not when they were writing it. But that would mean that there's space for errors to be made, right?
No, I mean, I don't really understand like why somebody would hold to the position that what they write down is capable of being false, but then the stories themselves are true. That sounds like a contradiction, honestly.
Oh yeah, exactly. So that's what he said, and it's the first time I've heard it, to be honest. And people that have asked before,
I
were
think
not sure.
that's an extreme minority view, bro.
Yeah, no, that's why I asked. I just wanted to know that, so it's not an argument or anything like that. Because I do believe that most Christians do not believe the same thing.
Yeah, that's a weird ass minority view, bro. That would be like that's like so minority that like that would be like the equivalent of somebody in your faith saying like, oh yeah, the what Muhammad said was infallible and God breathed, but
Yeah.
what was in the book is actually that like, the guys could have got it wrong in the book though. You're just like, okay, so then like how do you know what's in the book is even anything right? Like what
Yeah,
part of that is
exactly.
good and what that just
Nah,
that's
it's a dumb thing to say, to be honest.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only question I had, to be honest. It's not like
Yeah, you're good, bro. No, that's an extreme minority view. Don't take that as the Christian position, bro. That's a weird
No,
view.
I don't. No problem.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Huh, I've never actually heard of somebody actually going for the claim like that. That's weird. What's up, James?
Hello.
Yeah, what's up, man?
So you believe that Eastern Orthodoxy is the only true religion?
Yeah. That's the
Right.
prompt.
So why do you believe in the essence energies distinction as taught by Palamas instead of like the Catholic Western understanding of divine simplicity?
Well, so the amount of argumentations that are made against the Roman Catholic understanding of EED, we would believe is hold on. One second, I'm sorry.
I mean, just to piggyback. There's a few reasons.
I heard someone screaming. The kid was screaming. All right. Anyway. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So in our view, right, the church fathers of the first millennia taught the distinction as in the way that St. Gregory Palamas taught it. And so a lot of it is paradigmatic. Like a lot of it has to do with the fact that historically speaking, we would say that the church fathers followed the way that St. Gregory Palamas made his argumentation. Rather than the way that like a Thomist, for example, would say that the church fathers taught or learned, or taught or proclaims things, right? And so we believe that there is a necessity of there being an essence and energies distinction because of the unknowability as described by all of the church fathers of God's essence. And so if we're able to say anything positive about God, right, in any way, as in like an attribute or something like that, that would have to be denoted by an action or by an energy rather than something that's actually by its essence itself. Because the church actually in the 4th century actually specifically condemns and anathematizes a man who believed that you could cataphatically predicate the essence, which was Eunomius. That was one of the biggest problems that the Cappadocians had with him, was the fact that he was saying that the essence is this, the essence is that, the essence is this. And they would literally reply with, how could you possibly make a statement like that? Right.
Interesting. I guess I don't know. I guess I believe that like God has made known His essence to us.
Yeah, I mean, like, it would have to entirely depend on what you mean by that, right? Because universally speaking, the church fathers agree that we can't know the essence in of itself. Like, so, like, granted, I don't know kind of what denomination you come from, but at least if you're, so if you're somebody who comes from, like, trying to basically say that your church follows the church of the first millennia, that's why we would make the argument for the necessity of EED, because the way that the Cappadocians argued for predicating anything of God makes it to where the Thomistic understanding of the essence energies distinction just doesn't work when we're talking about the essence versus his actions. And the Cappadocians are the ones who actually helped complete the theology and formalize the Trinity. So that's why we would use them, of course, for that argumentation. Wow.
Okay. Well, I guess I have to look into this more, but I'll just say that
I would read something. I would read Against Eunomius by Saint Basil and read Against Eunomius by Saint Gregory of Nyssa. Those are the two main works that will help you out with that.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I guess I just believe that we can't fully comprehend God's essence, but we can know like things about it, like He's omnipotent, stuff like that.
Well, so omnipotence, right? Like that's discussing an ability or a considered an unlimited capacity towards God's ability to do something, right? So that wouldn't be considered something that would be his essence in of itself. That would be describing a power. That would be describing a power that he has. He is all powerful, right? He has the ability to do anything within his nature. So if that title in of itself describes a capability of an action, that wouldn't be something that is of the essence, right? That would be an action. That would be the ability of an action. That's why we call that an energy, not the essence.
Interesting. Okay. Well, good talk.
Yeah.
Thanks for
sure
having
thing,
me.
man. Yeah. God bless.
God bless.
Checking people on YouTube here. Contemporary Compendium for $5. He says, I hope you make it to DebateCon 6. Don't worry, man. I am going to make it, especially because your guys' donations have helped massively. We raised almost like $750 for that. So legit. I've already got my tickets and stuff like that. I've already gotten scheduled to, I'm going to be doing a vlog with Wi-Fi Gospel there. And we're going to be hanging out with people like Made by Jim Bob and Andrew Wilson. And I might try to do some kind of like little gather around podcast thing with all of them. We can like discuss orthodoxy, like epic trad based men. You know what I'm saying? I think it would work out. So that's the plan. The plan is to basically kind of record all of that. Me and Wi-Fi Gospel are, we're going to be recording either way, but we want to try to gather all the people that are going to be there together that are Orthodox. Hey, Lena, you gotta go back to mom, please. Remember, I'm streaming right now. I know that you want to hang out, sweetie, but I told you that I'm streaming tonight, right? Okay. Huh? Okay, well, go ahead. Go back to mom, please. All right, you're lucky I'm being nice right now. I'm in a good mood.
I feel like we could have brought up in Chronicles when the glory of the Lord comes down and they worship it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's obviously just like an argument that would be scriptural as well, right? Because we would argue that the scriptures kind of like necessitate EED as well.
Wants me to stay.
In that perspective.
Wants me to stay with her.
Why you look like that? Did you get hit or something? What's wrong with you?
No, no, she got back. She got pushed to a sick way. She just was crying.
Interesting.
Cause you know. Can I say hi?
You are saying hi. They can hear you right now. She didn't realize they could hear her, that we could hear her.
She got stage fright when she realized.
Yeah, she immediately was just like, "Wait a minute. What do you mean that they can hear me right now?" The other one's down here too. I just don't think you can see her because she's too short. But the other one's right next to her, just walking around. Don't you unplug my lamp? I see you, not you. You're fine. I'm talking about the little one. You're gonna unplug my lamp. I'm scared.
Why scared?
Because she likes to unplug my lamp and destroy my lighting. Because as soon as she unplugs my lamp, I have to like recalibrate everything.
No, if she unplugs
It's horrible.
the lamp, then I will just put it back in, you know.
The three persons eternally relate to one another in accordance to essence. W statement. That works good.
Daddy,
What?
do I clean your rat cage today?
We're doing that tomorrow.
Well, it smells bad.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna clean it tomorrow, silly. I have a rat now, by the way. I own a rat.
I saw you named him Nestoria.
No, that's fun. No, that's what I wanted to name. I wanted to name him Nestorius, but I named her Remy. That's what I named her instead.
Yeah, we wanted
So
her to be.
that was what I did instead. Jason, if you want to go ahead and discuss the same stuff that we've been talking to more, I don't really care to bring it on this live, man. I don't really want to keep providing you with your vainglory on your journey to German to Roman Catholicism. So I'm good. Appreciate it though. Yeah, like again, Jason, like I don't care to keep publicly discussing stuff with you because you're a neophyte for Roman Catholicism. It's just not even worth the time, honestly. It doesn't do anything for either of us. Something that I've talked about with a couple of different Roman Catholics, honestly, and they agree with that. So that you're not doing things the right way. So I'm just going to help you. I'm going to let you do your thing, but I'm not going to keep giving you the light of day to debate for vainglory. It's not really worth your time.
Jason should just give Talon all his arguments, and then you can sort it out there.
I'm pretty sure that Talon probably has more arguments than Jay does. I don't know. I haven't seen yet. But yeah. So I mean, it's kind of just like a yeah exactly. You say it's kind of like something that like I respect a lot of Roman Catholics. Like I respect a lot of Roman Catholics, but like recently it's just been making things a lot worse for you and well the Catholics in general, just because of the way that things are going. And here he is. He's still trying to hold to some kind of oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I can't answer your argument. Yeah, whatever. I really don't care, Jay. You can go ahead and go do your thing, man. You can go ahead and go pray the rosary and figure out if you want to become Orthodox again or not. Go ahead.
My necklace on her.
What? I'm not gonna be entertaining him anymore. I just want people to know that, unless I'm on a live with him somewhere else or something. I'm not gonna put him on my live because he needs to privately, discern his own faith instead of just debating in public 24/7. What? Hey, put her down. Put her down. No, put her down. Don't do that. I need you guys to go play, please.
Look at that necklace.
Huh?
Look at that necklace.
Bryce, what's your opinion on hesychasm being considered the truest sign of your faith as Christians? What do you mean? What do you mean the truest sign of faith? I'm not really sure what you mean by that.
Hezekiah, I mean, in a sense, I mean, we could say that is a fruit of the Spirit because it's that inner stillness, it's that quiet, it's that peace.
Yeah.
So,
Like if you're talking about just like an external sign, then it wouldn't be. If we're talking about like an internal sign, then I'd say it is. I'd say yeah, that's fine.
I think he's conflating Hezekiah with Theoria.
yeah.
I want to kiss your beard, Bryce. You're weird, man.
Based.
Do you know who Agan is? I do know who Agan is. Yes.
How's it going, Bryce? Long time no speak.
Yeah, I know, man. Where'd you go?
I'm working 3 jobs cause I just got off work.
Classic Albanians, bro.
I'm working 3 jobs, man.
The Albanians be working hard, man. You know what I'm saying?
I literally work 7 days a week. I got off my first job yesterday and went to my second one immediately after.
Yeah.
Cut him a deal. He said that if you work every day of the week,
Hey, yo, guys, chill out, man.
we'll
What the
let you
heck?
stay and
Sorry.
we won't deport you.
I have no rest days. So start funding my accordion. All right.
I'm a Protestant. What's the EO position on Peter having a unique supremacy / role in the Pope? I'm not convinced on the RC position. Well, stay not convinced on the RC position, right? There's a bunch of different books that you can actually read about that specific topic, but our position on that is that Peter had an honorary labeled authority that occurred in the first 1,000 years, which no longer now exists because they chose to break communion from us in 1054. Why are you guys screaming? Why? Well, then don't, silly. Oh my gosh, you know what's funny? You know why my kids are in here right now? Because my wife, I think, is playing games right now, and I don't even think she notices that they're in here. She's gonna learn. She's gonna figure it out soon, and she's probably gonna bust this door open and freak out.
Oh no, she's not. She was streaming the Discord.
Yeah, I've been. Yeah, that's a thing. They've been in here screaming for the past 15, 20 minutes almost. Or 10, 15 minutes. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, I know what you've been doing. I've been hearing you on the other room going, I'm getting him. I'm getting him. I've been hearing it. Kids have been in here screaming and going crazy.
My Mrs. Bryce J's wife.
It's okay. Just take him. You're good now. No, just get them out of here. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to get off your game. Just close my door again for me.
Okay, Lana.
Don't start fighting.
Don't bite me, I'll make you go to bed. You want to go to bed or you want to stay up?
Oh my gosh.
There is no staying with Dad. You either get out or I'm going to take you upstairs.
Uh-oh. You guys are witnessing what's happening. I have 2 kids, Civ.
Now, move it, both of you.
This guy says you have 1 kid, man.
Bryce, why are you muting Jay? I know you're scared to talk with him, but at least make it obvious. Hey, by the way, JP, I know that you are literally Jason himself because I watched you pop up on a Twitter account as the guy named JP. So it's actually really sad that you attempted to act like you're another person. That's some low tier shit, bro. I'm not going to lie. That's hilarious. I know that you're Jay yourself, by the way. I've seen you on Twitter, literally with that exact same name, talking to Jay Dyer. So that's hilarious, actually, that you're doing that. You notice how he tried to act like another person too? You see the deception? The absolute deception coming from him now?
Well, it's because he decided.
This is why I don't
flip-flop
intervene with him
overnight.
anymore. This is why I don't even talk with him anymore. Just the
Because he
fruit. The fruits are
flip-flopped
rotten
overnight.
as shit, bro.
This disproves Catholicism, by the way.
Yeah, it does. It does. This shows
all
that
it
this
took
shows that the
was-
Pope does not have immediate jurisdiction. You can tell.
Yeah.
It's true.
All it took was 30 minutes in one night, and all of a sudden he decided to flip into Roman Catholicism.
Bryce, can I convince you to join a panel sometimes? Abe Dinkus, I'm pretty sure I've been on a panel with you before. And yes, it depends on the panel you're talking about, but I would be down to join one. Are you talking about like Raging Tomato or something? Or like what? Because like I've seen you on Raging Tomato when I was up there that one time. But I would totally be down to get on a panel if you wanted to set one up. I don't have an issue with that. Doesn't bother me. You know.
Schoolboy, did you start your new job?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I start in the morning.
Thank God.
Glory to God. John, I need your opinion on something.
No.
Okay.
Oh, you
Hey,
run
what's
some
this?
panels. Yeah, I would love to be on a panel. Abe, you're more than welcome to. Abe Dinkus, you are more than welcome to tell me about when it's going to be at, and I could totally get into that.
What do you want
be
my
down.
opinion on?
Saturday, I am taking a little trip with a few guys from my parish out to Cambridge because there is a parish out there that once a month offers a Western Rite Mass.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to it.
Dude, wait, you're going to
Oh, yeah.
Western Rite Mass?
I am.
Dude, crazy that you said that, right? Because I discovered that there is a Western Rite church 10 minutes away from me, bro.
Oh, that's crazy.
Insane, bro. St. Vincent.
Did you know that there's a canonical version of the Benedictine Mass that can be used by the Western Rite?
I did actually.
Yeah. I hope they do it over there.
I would be interested in that, in just seeing what that's like.
Yeah.
The one that's in near Boston. Well, it is Boston. It's Cambridge.
Mhm.
They only offer mass once a month with the Eucharist because
You know
they
who I'd be,
don't have a full-time priest.
you know who I'd be interested to see talk to Jason? There's a bishop over here who was formerly a Roman Catholic priest with a PhD in canon law that converted to Orthodoxy and became a bishop in the OCA.
Oh, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Snipe Macro says, when are you going to do more TikTok invasions? I don't do those very often because they hurt my brain a lot. They make my soul hurt because they every time that I join those lives, I usually join those lives with literal demons, and it pains me.
Well, it's because you haven't been getting the goofy ones that I was sending you. Anymore.
No, those are the ones that are those are the ones that are bad, bro. Those are the ones that are really bad.
Yeah, but those get the views though.
Yeah, they get views, but they destroy my noose. It's not
Yeah,
worth
like,
it.
where the hell did, like, what is your feed, bro? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah, I about to say it doesn't do very good for the spirit. You know what I'm saying? We need to clip farm for content. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's the best part of the TikTok invasions is they're very easy to clip. Very easy to clip. I had a Mormon tell me that Psalm 22 is not about Jesus. Wow. I have no reply to that shit, dude. What do you even do with that? Do you attend an Antiochian or a Russian parish? I attend an Antiochian parish. I'm under Metropolitan Saba.
You know how you reply to that, Bryce?
Yeah.
Or you tell me Psalm 22 is not about Christ,
What?
and then walk
Yeah.
away.
Honestly, yeah. What's your opinion on the Formula Hormizdas? Haven't read it. Cosmic Bazaar. Anyone down for a debate with a Shia Muslim? Are you talking about like coming up here and talking? Sure, why not?
I can talk about
Bryce,
Bryce,
I'm reading more on the Filioque. What should I read? Or what should I read? I already read some at Bryennios. Bruh, are you joking? Yeah, I haven't read a specific work you're talking about. I don't understand.
The formula for Mizdas is probably one of the stronger papal arguments, but it does crumble under greater context. That was a huge part. Did you watch the Ubi Petrus Archibald debate?
No, what the old one, like the one where he first revealed his face.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I haven't. I don't remember that specific argument in there.
They talked about it quite a bit, and that was the one where like Ubi used the argument that like, okay, well, this one says that like Rome has always kept the faith, right? And then he brought up like many other examples of letters written at that time
Yeah.
to either the emperor or other sees that were just covered in flowery language that were obvious hyperbole.
I blame Kant. He said, "What other works should I read against the Filioque?" So you already started reading Bryennios. That's good. That's one of the more complicated guys to read, though. I would read Saint Nielos Cabasilas, the 5 discourses on the procession of the Holy Spirit. That's a really good one. You can get all of that in English. Let's see, what else is a pretty good one? St. Gregory Palamas, the Apodictic Treatises on the procession of the Holy Spirits. That's a really good work as well. St. Mark of Ephesus, the Syllogistic Chapters against the Latins is a really good work on that. Michael Paleologus I against the West on the Filioque is actually what it's called. He is a 14th century Palamite. Really cool guy. Michael Paleologus I is a really good work, but it's extremely complicated. I just want to let you know that now. That work is very loaded with information. You finished Michael's book? Okay, so you finished Michael Paleologus? All right. Yeah, it's he's the predecessor to John Paleologus I, I think. The Patriarch of Constantinople. He was a really intelligent guy. I mean, like if you're looking for like, I would also read chapter. I think it's chapter 4 and 5 in Saint Dimitri Staniloi's work called Theology and the Church. That's also a amazing work on the Filioque that explains our view very well and arguments against the Western position too. Okay, the Chosen Jewish Apologetics wants to talk. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, man. What's up?
So, do you believe the New Testament replaces the Old Testament?
What do you mean it replaces
No.
it? We just say it fulfills it. The Old
So
Testament
can you
is still
fulfill-
authoritative.
So, do you mean the laws are authoritative or no? What do you mean by that?
No, we're saying that like everything that occurred in the Old Testament is historically accurate and points towards the point of what the New Testament brought.
What about the laws?
Like the laws of Moses?
Yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't say that they're binding on Gentiles.
Are they binding on Jews or no?
I have no idea. That's up to you guys. We believe that after the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, that was actually the judging of the Jews from Christ over to handing the church over to the Gentiles. So I mean, the laws themselves would be done away with.
Isaiah 60 says that the covenant God made with the people of Israel is eternal and everlasting. It will never end.
Yeah, that covenant he's talking about is the overall covenant, like under Melchizedek. So sure, whatever.
Well, I mean, it's the covenant that's given them in the laws. Like, if, for example, if the Torah wasn't the...
Yeah, does it say that it's the Mosaic covenant or the Abrahamic covenant?
Micah says it's the Mosaic covenant. Micah
And
4.
which one?
You go to Micah 4, verses 1 to 2. You'll see that what comes forth from Mount Zion in the Messianic time is the Torah that comes to the nations.
Micah 4, verse 1, where it says, "In the last days, in the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established as the highest of the mountains, and it will be exalted above the hills, and peoples will stream to it.
Keep reading.
And many nations will come and say, 'Let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, go to the temple of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us his ways so that we may walk in his paths. The law will go out from Zion, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Yeah, it's
And he will
Torah.
judge many peoples and will settle disputes for nations far and wide.'" Oh, you think the word of the Lord means Torah?
No, the word that is used there is Torah. Torah will go forth from Zion.
It's the law will go out from the Zion. Oh, so okay. So you're saying because it says the law will go out from Zion that necessitates it's talking about the actual written Torah.
The Torah literally means that. It's the Torah.
Yeah.
It says in Hebrew,
So the Torah, yeah, because so in our view, the Torah is the thing that literally describes the coming of Christ in the first place. So what's the issue? Even if they brought the Torah, it doesn't necessarily.
Torah pointing to Christ.
Literally, the next sentence actually, it says the law will go out from Zion, and it says the word of the Lord from Jerusalem.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah,
that.
the word of the Lord from Jerusalem, in our view, is Jesus himself. By the way,
You can view it that, but the Messiah is supposed to establish
that
the
you
third temple.
did you ask for my position or what?
I'm saying, did Jesus establish the third temple or no?
The third temple would be the proper third temple would be the church. So
Well,
yes, he
there's a
did.
physical third temple on Mount Zion that he has to establish.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
are you talking about like the Church of Jerusalem that currently exists?
No, like a physical third temple that's double the size of the original temple as described in Ezekiel.
Yeah, just because something is described as if it's going to exist in a physical manner, that doesn't necessitate that the entire thing is going to be a physical manner. So I'm not sure.
Well,
like,
it's not just described like that. Like Ezekiel gives the dimensions of the walls, how big the courtyard will be, gives the measurements of the temple. In fact,
Okay.
he also gives the fact that the Messiah in the end of times will go up to the temple and give an offering of a bull for his sins to God.
Uh-huh.
So that kind of contradicts the fact that the Messiah is sinless, even just
How?
that.
does
Because
that
he gives an
contradict
offering to God for his sins, according to Ezekiel.
Aren't you that one guy that I had a conversation with that one time where we started talking about like the lineage of the rabbinics? I remember you, right?
Lineage, I don't remember for sure. It's had a lot of debates and stuff.
It was a while. It was a while ago. Your name didn't used to be this.
Yeah, I debated a Protestant. You know who NeedGod.net is?
Yeah, he's a demon. What about him?
Yeah, I debated him a couple of weeks ago. There's a video you can find with him.
Yeah, that guy's a demon. So I don't usually watch him, but
I don't like debating Protestants that much because it's always faith alone with them.
yeah,
It gets kind of difficult.
yeah. I mean, that is kind of how they go with that. The big thing that I always get confused about. What's up, schoolboy? Sorry, what'd you say?
What is the first verse in Micah 4 is talking about Mount Athos?
In the mountain, or at the mountain of the Lord's temple will be established at the highest of the mountains. It will be exalted above the hills, and people will stream to it.
Maybe. It's the
Yep.
latter days, isn't it?
Huh?
It's the latter days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like the main problem.
That's the Mormon church. That's what Joseph Smith established in Utah, actually.
Dang.
The main problem we have with Jesus being the messianic figure is the lack of prophecies being fulfilled. That's the main thing.
Yeah, but like you're the one that would be judging whether or not things were fulfilled or not fulfilled based off of the fact that you have the ability to trace yourself back from those rabbinics, right?
Well, it's mainly the prophets. Like when they prophesize a third temple on Mount Zion, eternal peace, no wars, complete resurrection of all the dead, and Jesus did none of that. So those are the core prophecies the Messiah is supposed to do.
Yeah. So first off, like the complete resurrection of the dead is something that Jesus said he was going to do in the future. That's in the book of Revelation. John saw a vision of Jesus doing that in Revelation.
So he says that's in the second coming, right?
That would be his actual like return to resurrect the dead. There's a difference between the second coming, as described in the Olivet Discourse, versus the actual resurrection of the dead, the final judgment day, which is something that Jesus is going to do because he claims to be literally the one in Daniel 2 and Daniel 7, the one who sits at the right hand of the Ancient of Days, which is literally the coming in the clouds of heaven to judge the living and the dead.
Yeah, so the problem we have with the second coming is that it's not mentioned anywhere in the prophets.
What do you mean?
And
What do you mean it's not? What do you mean it's not mentioned? I just referenced Daniel 2 and 7.
The Messiah dying and then coming back the second time.
Just because something historically occurs and then it's not mentioned in the Old Testament as a historical event, that doesn't mean that then therefore that person is then false. That's a ridiculous argument.
Well, it's false because when you look at the qualifications for the Messiah, and you look at what he has to do to assume a second coming.
Let me show you how the argument's bad. All right. Because the way that you're making the argument is you're saying that nowhere in the Torah or the Old Testament it states that that the Messiah will die and then rise again, right? The reason why I know that this is a dumb argument is because I can just say this: does it not say that? Does it?
That's not a good argument, though.
Yeah, that's the point. Is that you making that statement? That's an argument from silence. You're just saying, well, it doesn't say that. So, like,
No,
what? That doesn't mean it. That doesn't mean
prophets
that. Yeah, but the prophets, if the prophets don't explicitly state that the Messiah is going to rise again, even if I were to grant that, which, like I said, I don't have a specific verse on hand for me. I'm sure I could probably find something for that, but I haven't looked into it in a while. Even if I were to grant that for the sake of the argument, that doesn't mean that then therefore Jesus doesn't fulfill that notion.
I'm saying that he doesn't. The prophecies, the core prophecies, have not been done. So I can claim, like anyone.
Again, you have to claim that certain prophecies are core prophecies. That doesn't mean that then therefore like they
those
haven't
are
been
the core
fulfilled.
ones.
Yeah, but there's certain ones that you would believe have to be fulfilled on the last day, right? Versus ones that have to be fulfilled when he's physically here.
So let me ask you: do you think the virgin?
That was.
birth would-
I'll answer you, but what was that question? Can you answer what I just said?
Yeah, repeat that real quick.
Yeah, I said, wouldn't you agree that there's some prophecies that denote when the Messiah is here physically versus the end, the last day?
Like that, you're saying that's separate from when he's here physically to like the end of time.
Yes. When you say that there's certain prophecies that denote the last day.
That point to the last day. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm saying that like you have to make that delineation by reading those scriptures. Sorry about that. I got a donation.
They're not separated from. They're not separated from his coming. It's not like he comes once and then he dies and comes again. I'm not,
Again, like saying that like that doesn't happen because the scripture doesn't explicitly state that that doesn't happen is not an argument.
Well, it is
Because
I'm getting. If I'm someone.
does it say the
claiming
day
to
that the Messiah comes, the
Well,
last day? That last day happens.
if I claim to be the Messiah and I make that statement, there are things that come out from that. There are qualifications you have to meet to be that messianic figure. Anyone can claim that they're the Messiah, but if they directly contradict Torah and don't fulfill the needed prophecies, there's no reason to deem them the Messiah. You can
Okay.
say you're going to come again, but there's no evidence of that, and it's not anywhere in the prophets. So there's no reason for me to agree that he's going to come again when he completely blasphemes the Torah and he doesn't fulfill the requirements.
How does he blaspheme the Torah? How does that even
I'll give
happen?
you one easy example. So, for example, kosher law in Leviticus is stated by God, this will be a chuk, a statue forever, and you will keep it in every single one of your generations, the kosher law. Jesus comes and says, what goes in you does not defile you. And he states this, and this is why Christians don't uphold the Mosaic law. And he makes a statement to Jews that what goes in you does not defile you. God clearly says that there are animals you cannot eat forever as a statue. So if that's the case, and he comes and directly says he's removing a law from the Torah, by the way, because Deuteronomy 4:2 says, if you remove any law from the Torah, you're deserving of death. In fact, there's a whole section in Deuteronomy warning about if someone comes to try to tell you not to keep the Torah and performs miracles, don't listen to him. That's what Jesus did. He did it with the Sabbath, and he did it with kosher.
Yeah,
And
so I
multiple
mean,
others.
yeah, so obviously the argument that we would have for that is that the way that the things were interpreted by the Jews prior to that, especially like the Pharisees and the Sadducees, are actually a prime example of the issue of what you're bringing. Is the fact that people thought that the scripture pertained to something in this explicit way, when Jesus came and he said, like, oh, for example, like you say an eye for an eye, but I say this, right? Saying like this is not what the things were originally intended for. In our view, he's obviously the fulfillment of the law in general. So if he is the one who, for example, establishes the law, if he was specifically the God of the Old Testament, and then he comes down and he says, we'll do these things in this time, we'll do things in this time, right? That doesn't necessitate that he's therefore he's blaspheming the Torah, because in our view, he is the fulfillment of the Torah. So he can't be blaspheming the Torah. Your view has to already be correct for him to blaspheme the Torah.
Well, you can't fulfill a law that's commanded to be kept forever, and we know according to
Okay, I don't think you understand. Like saying that the covenant is going to last forever is not actually stating that you must hold to something physically forever as a person.
It says
Just
it'll be a
because
statute in all your generations that you must keep. So that's a statement.
So that type of thing is fulfilled in Christ, who is eternal himself. So it doesn't matter to us. Like it's not.
But you
it's
can't
not
fulfill
irrelevant.
a law that's commanded to be kept forever, and God doesn't go back on His
Okay,
word.
give me the specific verse that you're talking about that states that, so we can talk about it. Maybe we can read
Yeah,
it.
it's a statute forever.
Yes,
Statute forever. Okay,
but it's
perfect.
something
Let
that
me
you
pull
will
it
hold to. I want to actually like talk about the specific verse here.
up. Yeah, sure. Let me pull it up right now.
All right.
Yeah, there's multiple, but let's start with Leviticus 3:17. That's with the fat and blood kosher law.
Leviticus 3:17.
Yep.
This is the lasting ordinance for generations to come. Wherever you like, you must not eat any fat or food. Let's go ahead and take a look at that in the Hebrew interlinear.
Yeah, it's the olam, which means forever, and it's a chuk.
Yeah, but
Statute.
Jonah was. But with that logic, if olam actually means forever in its entirety, then Jonah was in the belly forever.
No, it depends on the context, obviously.
Yeah, no,
But it says it's a perpetual statute.
No, duh, bro. Like, and so, like, if we're talking about it in the context, we could just say that this simply is referring to it in the context that we're supporting. Like, again, it's an interpretive problem.
Well, it says in all your generations. So
Okay. So it says, "This shall be a statute perpetual throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Any fat nor blood neither you shall eat."
yeah,
Okay. So the word that denotes olam, right, perpetual, that does not always mean literally forever.
well, it's translated as forever in the Septuagint.
So are you a Septuagint guy then? Do you want to go to Septuagint now?
No, I'm saying, but you uphold to the Septuagint.
Yeah, and the same word in Greek still does not necessitate that, because guess what? In Jonah, when it talks about the belly of the beast, the forever word in Greek also means the same thing. It literally means that it's not literally forever. It says forever. What?
I'm saying in this verse, though, the Septuagint translates the olam as forever.
It translates as forever, but with that being said, then the Septuagint also denotes Jonah as it being forever in the belly. Who cares?
No, there's other verses in the Septuagint where the olam is not translated as forever.
Yeah,
It's
I
translated
understand
as
that.
So I'm saying here it's forever. So
I'm telling you that because of the fact that this word doesn't always mean that in this case, it does not explicitly prove your point, because it can be translated in a different way. It can be denoted as a different word in English, or it can be denoting something that doesn't literally mean physically forever.
You can call it whatever you want, but I'm saying what text do you hold authoritative? Because you have to pick one. I mean, you uphold the Septuagint or not?
I do hold to the Septuagint. I'm telling you that whether or not it's translated that way in the Septuagint is irrelevant to the actual point of the prophecy. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm saying, well, it wouldn't make any sense for God to command to keep laws forever, which he does as a statute in all your generations and multiple other places.
Was this command, who was this command given to specifically? This was given to Moses, right?
The Jews, yeah.
And it says throughout your generations, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So historically speaking, technically this would have been something that would have been abolished as of 70 AD, after the destruction of the temple.
No, because the generations continue.
No, apparently they didn't. We've had this conversation.
The generations still continue.
Where? It's one of the best kept secrets on the planet if you have that information.
The Jews continue after the 70 AD.
Okay, so I want one lineage. I want one line.
Yeah, we have. You can literally trace by blood that you're Jewish.
I want one line.
There's DNA by blood.
You can just say that. I want one piece of evidence of a line existing after 70 AD.
You can literally check in DNA that you're Jewish.
You just keep saying that. I'm asking you, can you demonstrate that at all?
You're saying you want me to find one Jew who you can trace back to 70 AD?
Correct.
Probably could. I mean, do you want me to find that for you? I can.
That would be proper information that we would need, yeah, in order to disprove the historical fact that the genealogy is destroyed.
Well, if the genealogy was destroyed, it wouldn't say in Zechariah that at the end of times, the Jews will be next to Mount Zion, and the Gentiles will tug on the Jews and say, "We've been poisoned with lies and iniquity. Take us up and teach us your Torah." That wouldn't make any sense if the lineage was all messed up. It wouldn't make any sense also that God was supposed to gather all the Jews in exile and suffering back to Mount Zion.
Are you talking about the Jews, right? Are you talking about the people of Israel as defined in Zechariah?
The Israelites, the Jews, yeah.
Yeah, so Israel, in our view, especially according to like what the New Testament says, the Israel is the people who have the faith of Abraham. That it's not a physical lineage. So if we were to say that the Gentiles in the last days come to the Christians, which is what the Israel would be here, they would be coming to the Christians saying to teach us the ways.
Well, but it's still the Jews. The covenant with the Jews lasts forever.
Again, you're thinking that has to do with some kind of physical lineage. It doesn't say that
in the
verses.
To Numbers 1:18. Go to Numbers 1:18.
Are you going to say from the line of Abraham?
No, it's also from that because it says you
Yeah,
are
the
my
line of
son.
Abraham doesn't denote only a physical lineage.
Hold on. So it says seed of Abraham in Isaiah 41.
Yeah, and we have an
8-9.
interpretation for that in Paul's letters. It
Great, you
doesn't
can have as much
necessitate a
interpretation as you
physical
want.
lineage.
That's not what
It
it
doesn't
says.
necessitate a physical lineage.
Well,
Well,
it
I mean,
says
you're
seed of
assuming
Abraham.
that a seed of Abraham doesn't necessitate because we have the ability to
Yes, it
interpret it our
does.
way in the first place. This is how I'm showing you that it doesn't necessitate it, because we
You
have
can
the
interpret it
ability.
any way you want.
You're
If you want
interpreting it as
interpret
well.
No, I'm not. It says
Oh,
seed of Abraham.
you're not interpreting Numbers 118
Okay,
right now.
does it or does it not say seed of Abraham?
Which in Numbers 118?
No, Numbers 118 says the lineage comes from the father. That I can show you. But
Okay.
it's Isaiah 41, 8-9 is where it says, you are my servant Israel, seed of Abraham.
Which verse is that?
If
Yeah,
the
Isaiah
lineage comes from the
41.
father, then why does modern Judaism track lineage by the mother?
Yeah, so lineage, in modern Judaism, lineage does not come from the mother, it comes from the father. Whether or not your soul is Jewish is by the mother, not the lineage you come from. For example, I'm a Levite, and I know that because my father's a Levite. Passed it down generation to generation.
You can get
My
Jewish.
lineage
You have a
comes from my
Jewish
father.
soul.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. I got to use the bathroom real quick. I'm gonna bring Daughter of the King up because she's really good at the Jewish apologetics.
Is this the one I'm debating?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Use the bathroom real quick.
So-
Just
Sure.
take over. Sorry, I'm just putting this out there real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Boy, just take
Chosen,
over.
you know as well as anybody else does that the lineage doesn't come through the father. Jewish soul is nothing. It goes through the bloodline still.
It goes
So
through the
stop
father.
lying to this man. Stop lying.
Not lying. Wait,
You
daughter
are
of the
lying.
king, you were Chabad, right?
You are lying, Chosen.
No, I'm not. No, I'm asking you something. You were Chabad, right?
Chosen, you are lying.
No, stop running from what I'm saying. Are you Chabad?
I'm not
or-
running. You're making
What are
a
you
claim that
Chabad?
isn't true.
No, I'm going to show you how it's true because you're lying. if you
I
were
don't.
Chabad.
I don't hold to anything that anybody teaches you. You
No, hold
says.
on. What tribe was your father from?
Chosen, I don't
Why are you
hold to
running from the
anything.
question?
I
You're
don't
straight
hold to
running from
anything
the
that you
question.
believe because you do not believe in real Judaism.
No, I
You
do.
sat
I'm
on my
an
panel and
Orthodox Jew.
told me that Judaism excuses homosexuality.
Never said that.
You did.
No,
I have a clip.
I love how, yeah, you can go and clip it, and I'll tell you exactly what I said because you have no idea what I said.
You said your rabbi
I said
is
that-
homosexual
I
and
said,
he's
not what I
born that
said.
way and it's okay.
Not what I said. Again, you can
you
keep
said.
throwing ad hominems at
you
me, but in
said.
the real debate, I'm just going to kick your ass
Oh,
in front of everyone.
well, you're going to kick my ass? Okay, that's fine. We'll see.
And I'm going to bring
Don't
you
get
back
too
to the
cocky.
altar
Pride
ready.
comes before the fall.
Yeah, I mean, you're an idolater, so we can talk about that.
I'm an
But-
idolater.
No, you aren't. But let me
Yeah.
let me ask you. So you were Chabad, right?
Your God's a
Where-
Jewish
where did-
carpenter.
where-
Have
where
fun
did
with
your
that.
father? Hold on. You were Chabad. What tribe was your father from? Cohen, Levi, or Israelite? Which one? Answer the question, unless you're scared. Which one? Cohen, Levi, or Israelite?
My
Because you-
mother was none of those ones.
And I'm not talking about your mother. I'm talking about your father. Where's your father from?
None of your business.
See, you're scared. You know that you have. the
I'm not
answer,
scared.
and you don't want to answer the question. So listen, you can.
Chosen, you're 16 years old. I think it's interesting that you're
and
educating
smarter
anybody
than
on
you.
Judaism.
Smarter than you.
But
No
you shouldn't be on a
Talmud-
panel if you're 16.
Well, first of all, I know Talmud front to back. I've debated multiple Christians, and I know Hasidus, and you don't know any of that. So you're talking based off not knowing anything and probably leaving Chabad because from trauma.
Bro, that's why you
don't
get
have
cooked by
knowledge.
every single messianic person on here.
Yeah, really.
I heard about
Don't
you
better?
challenging me to this debate. I didn't know who you were when you challenged me, but I've heard your reputation thus far.
Yeah, my
That you,
so
I
listen,
actually have a video of you getting clipped by a Muslim.
I'm just gonna
using
say
the Talmud.
respectfully- I'm just gonna say respectfully to you that when we do come to a debate,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
gonna
it's going to be
destroy you
good.
so
I'm going to be
bad.
much more structured.
No,
You know,
I'm gonna destroy you.
Oh yeah, no, I don't care about inter J conversation. But yeah, thank you if you were able to refute whatever the hell he said. Thank you. I don't really care to hear people fight about it.
Bro's got that Jewish soul.
I got a Jewish soul, man. Know what I'm saying?
Jewish soul,
I
man.
got a Jewish soul.
You guys have heard of Motown, but have you heard of Moyaltown?
Oh, you're Christian? I thought you said you were a Messianic Jew.
Let her back up. I'd like to talk.
Oh,
to her.
she said no.
Seems cool.
Come up, hold on. Sorry. He said that you were Messianic. That's why I was just like, oh wait, what?
I was raised Jewish, but I'm a Christian. I'm saved.
Oh, okay.
But that's why I cook him. That's why he challenges me to who is the suffering servant in Isaiah 53. So that's why he's getting cocky.
Daughter, I do have to ask, what do you mean by you're saved?
I have salvation through Jesus Christ. I believe that he died for my sins and he's God.
Do you think it's just purely transactional?
I'm not gonna debate Eastern Orthodoxy. I just was letting you know that I'm not a Messianic Jew.
That's fair.
Okay.
Just so you're aware. Just because
Have
I
you
didn't
looked
want
into
that to.
Have you looked into the Orthodox Church?
Not enough, honestly.
You should visit one sometime.
I've started looking into it, but no.
Yeah, you should visit one sometime. I'm not gonna try. I respect that you don't want to debate.
Yeah, no. Just wanted to clear that up because I didn't want you to think it was like 2 Jewish people. But he goes around and he lies. He's not telling the truth. So.
Well, if it was 2 Jewish people up here, we would have 3 opinions. So
Probably. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I just like watching him get cooked. So.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Where's good? I can sit back again. What's up, Dialogos?
What's up, man? How are you guys doing?
Another
hey, it's been a while. What's going on, dude?
Hey, what's up? I probably asked this question before, but I'm just gonna ask it again.
Okay.
Because I watched a Jay Dyer debate. I can't. But he was a Catholic.
Okay.
But it's about essence energy distinction.
Mm-hmm.
If I understand it correctly, the Eastern Orthodox position is that God's essence can't be known. It's completely unknowable.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, we would. The only way that we would predicate anything to the essence would be apophatically. So negative theology.
Yeah. And then, so the energies are kind of like God's like signatures, so to speak.
They're his actions, his operations, and I guess the word signatures could work if you're talking about like the way that he kind of like stamps his existence into reality.
Okay. And then, so is divine simplicity saying that God is certain attributes like goodness, truth, and beauty?
Divine simplicity at a very base level is just saying that God is not composite and that God needs nothing more than what he currently is.
Okay, so I'm still confused on divine simplicity, but I guess my first question is, if you can't know anything about God's essence, and this is sincere, how do you know that God's not evil?
Are you asking that from the perspective of somebody who knows God's essence, or what do you mean?
I'm saying from the Eastern Orthodox position, if God's essence is unknowable, then how can you know that God like isn't evil?
Well, so we know God by his actions and his operations, and we would just have to say that due to the fact of what has been revealed through the divine scriptures, as well as the operations that he has performed on this earth, that we wouldn't come to the conclusion that he is evil, because he in of himself is goodness, and evil is just actually the absence or the lack of being good. So if he's the totality of goodness, he can't also be evil at the same time. That's not possible.
I would agree, but in terms of this particular question, how can you assert that God is goodness? Because even if you're saying that his operations and stuff, like his energies, are good or true or beautiful or something like that.
So like, is this
distinction? Sorry.
No, you're good. So like, are you just saying like, even if God claims, for example, that he is good, are you saying how do we know that he actually is, or?
Well, I'm saying let's take divine revelation out of it for a second, if you don't mind.
Well, then we don't know.
And let's go. Well, that's a
that's a natural theology. That's a natural theology problem, man. That's an argument we make against Roman Catholics all the time.
So do you guys reject natural theology?
We reject it in being able to actually know the intentionality or true understanding of the way that God would act or do anything. So like, I make an argument all the time, actually, against some people, that if you do not have the necessity of revelation is so heavy that in order to understand that God is not the Gnostic demiurge, you need the scriptures. Like, you actually need the scriptures to know that. Otherwise, you see the natural world and you watch an animal unalive another animal, and you see that, and you come to the conclusion of a God existing, but you don't come to the conclusion of the intentionality of said God. And so you could make up something else about its intentionality naturally. You could look at something destroying another thing, or watching people get destroyed, for example, by a hurricane, and you'd think like, this is God doing all of this? Right? If you don't have the divine scriptures, you don't have a proper ability to truly justify God's goodness. It's not something that you can do by itself.
I don't know if I totally agree with that, but I appreciate you pointing that out. So is
Let me put it.
okay,
Let
so
me put it
you're
like
saying
this,
the
right? Let me put it like this. If there's no revelation, there's no way for you to justify that you are not some kind of like eternal soul that got materially trapped in a body to torture in this life by a god with mental illnesses and all this kind of stuff. I can make all of that from natural, from induction and just from sense data. I can just think about things like that and naturally come to that conclusion. And without revelation, technically speaking, there's no argument against me, unless there's something that actually necessitates an intentionality from said being that I believe in. Right.
I hear what you're saying. I don't know if I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying that you would need divine revelation explicitly to know that God is good in terms of his intentionality specifically?
Yeah.
And also, would intention be a function of his energies or his essence? Because it sounds
Intention
like
intention would be from energies. Yeah, that
Okay.
would be from the actualization of his knowledge and then discovering the prescriptions of why God exercises his acts in the way that he does. But if I'm talking about like being able to, or knowing them, right, knowing the goodness, right, knowing the intentionality, that's actually one of the reasons why that a lot of the ancient philosophers with natural reason came to the conclusion that God is an impersonal monad, right? Like all of the ancient philosophers, the first monotheists, like I guess philosophical monotheists rather than like, not like Zoroastrians, but like philosophical monotheists, they came to the conclusion that God was an impersonal monad. And the reason why was because of the fact that chaos exists. And they think that if there is a God that's personal and we don't know why these things occur on this planet, then that means that in some way, shape, or form, there must be an intention towards all of this evil and this chaos. So then, therefore, there would have to be some kind of like evil God, right? So then they would say like, but no way. So then they came to the conclusion that God would then therefore be an impersonal monad, and everything being perceived in a personal manner is kind of like lesser in reality to a degree. They couldn't come to the grips of naturally, like that's why Gnostics exist. The Gnostics existed for one of these problems right here, is not actually taking the scriptures as serious as you should and relying on your natural reasoning to try to determine the intentionality of the God of the universe, which then necessitates the demiurge theology of Marcion.
So you're saying by saying that God is an impersonal monad, they were basically dealing with the question of intentionality in terms of the existence of chaos and evil. Because if God was in charge of everything, then he would also be the author of chaos and evil.
Yeah, because they didn't have an understanding of like the ontology of evil, right? So like they saw chaos occurring.
You guys believe in the deprivation. Evil is a deprivation.
Yeah, it's a deprivation theology. So evil is not, it doesn't possess some form of ontology. It's only denoted by the lack of a positive aspect.
Yes, and I would agree with that. I wasn't sure if that differed, because the Catholics had the same view as well.
Yeah, and there's a couple different like religions that eventually arose with this problem, like the Manichaeans, for example, right? They were a dualistic religion where they believed kind of like in two gods. They believed in the good God and then the chaos God. And these two basically kind of like yin-yanged with each other and formed the universe as it is in its current state. So the evil has an ontology because it proceeds from the evil God. And so like that issue was wrestled with, but it took a while for that to be wrestled with, because back in the day, good and evil was not exactly a objective or subjective question. It was more of whether or not something can be explained naturally, or if something proceeds in like a transcendent way or not. And if it proceeds in a transcendent way, then it's an impersonal thing that actually doesn't matter at the end of the day. right? Like oh, if I see, for example, like a hurricane happening, right? In their in the ancient philosophers' view, they would just say like, oh, well, like for example, like Aristotle, Plato, Plotinus, and those guys, like they would look at like a destructive natural disaster or something, and they would just come to the conclusion that that's just something that it just happens. Like we don't, because there's no intention to everything that exists, right? Sorry about that. There's no intention to any of the bad things or the good things. So if you think that there's intention, you're lesser in reality. I want to go ahead and read a couple of these real quick here. I had a couple super chats. I'm sorry. Ericoda for $5. She says, "Where can I read about the distinction between person and nature?" You can read that in Saint Neelis's work called Rule of Theology. He actually goes really extensive and in depth on the nature-person distinction, as well as Saint John of Damascus and Saint Basil the Great. He has a letter, I think it's 234, letter 234 or 236, I can't remember. One of those two letters, he talks about the distinction of nature and person pretty deeply. And then Ericoda again for $5. Thank you very much. It says, "What are the philosophical problems with evil having ontology?" I mean, the problem is that the problem of evil now is actually a really good argument. That's a big issue, right? Like if you believe that evil possesses some form of positive ontology, then the problem of evil is a problem. It is an actual problem that you now have to deal with. You legitimately can't, you can't get around it either. You have to accept that in some way, shape, or form, God is a mixture of good and evil. If you accept ontology and then you accept monotheism at the same time, because that the existence of everything has to come from something. And if you admit that evil has some form of ontology, nothing can be created without God. So then God would then have to create that evil. He would have to create that, which is obviously not good because that goes against the scriptures, where the scripture says that God is not the author of evil. So again, yeah.
Well, I'm still confused then. All right. So how, if you can't know anything about God's essence, then how can you even make the connection between God's essence and his energies? I understand there's a distinction, but it seems that you're saying that his operations reveal like an intentionality behind it, and then you kind of trace it back to this unknowable essence.
Yeah, let me pull up my thing here real quick. Hold on. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So the way that I would kind of put it, like in the best way that I can, is that if there is an act occurring, that would you say that presupposes an actor?
Yes.
So if there is an actor, that also presupposes that there's some form of nature to this actor.
Yeah.
Because, and then obviously if there's a nature to it, that would presuppose some form of possible personality, right? Or some form of intention in any way, shape, or form towards why the act occurred in the first place.
Are you equating personality with intentionality?
Well, so like there would be a personality that determines an intentionality, rather. Right? So like there would be an act, right? Or let's do it like this. There would be an effect, which would be like the existent world that we live in right now. It's created. We know about its existence. Then there would be an act, which would be basically the actual thing that caused said effect, right? Mm-hmm. And then that would presuppose that there's an actor that exists in some way, shape, or form. Oh, sorry, fix that. Yeah. And then that would presuppose that whatever this actor is possesses a nature, because there cannot be an actor, there cannot be an act without there being a nature that proceeds from the act. That's a common axiom in our philosophy, and honestly, any form of ancient philosophy, is that there's a nature that derives from an actor. So then that nature, that's an essence, right? That would be considered the whatness of whatever that thing is. So now we at least know at a base level there is an essence. That's it. That there is one. So then because of the fact that we know that there is an essence, we know that there's an actor who acts and creates these effects, that shows that there would be some form of personality of this said thing. And if there's a personality, right, this would be considered like hypostases in some way, shape, or form, right? Person, whether it's one person or three persons or whatever, right?
Does hypostases literally translate to personhood?
In a way, yeah. Not identical to it. but in a way it would be like personality or personhood, right? So there would be, so like if there was a whatness and there is an acting, that would necessitate a let me put it like this: who-ness, right? If there is a whatness that exists, right? So if there's a what that does something, then there's a who, right? So if there's a who, then therefore there is an intention as to why the who does the act from that essence. And that would be kind of like the wraparound to all of that. So that's why we know that there's still an essence, even if we can't know anything about it. There has to be, because it, like the fact that there is an act presupposes there's an actor, which then presupposes there's an essence of the said actor. Therefore, there's also a personality of said thing, because there was an act that occurred, and essences themselves do not act. So there must be an actor, which would be the hypostasis, which then shows that there's an intention to that said thing, because we don't believe in the impersonal monad, right? Who does the act from that essence, which then it comes around, and we know that an essence exists, but that's all that we know. Rather, the only thing that we talk about that talks about this essence is right here, is what comes from these three categories only.
Yes, but see, don't you see the obvious problem with that?
I do not.
I agree that through presuppositionalism, you can go from an effect to an act and all that to the essence. But that just shows in this chain of reasoning that the essence was responsible for this effect, right?
Yes.
Ultimately. But we don't know that if we still can't know anything about the essence, we don't know that it's always going to produce positive effects.
Well, so when I say that we don't know anything about the essence, man, I'm not saying that in regards to that we can't know anything of it in terms of what it does or what it has or all of these different types of things. I'm saying that if you denote an act that does not necessitate understanding. Hold on one second. Let me fix this real quick. I'm going to bring up a slide thing for you that might help as well. That I did a lecture involving this exact thing.
Cool. And by the way, I'm not trying to do any gotchas. I'm sincerely
I can tell that you're being genuine. You're good. Hold on. That's why I'm actually choosing to pull all this shit up for you. Let me show you this. If I knew you were just messing with me, I wouldn't pull up a whole slideshow to try to show you something.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Let me do. Where is it at? Roman Geo, thank you for becoming a supporter. God bless. Here it is. Okay. All right. Do you see this?
Yes.
So this is.
You're
good. You're good. I'll just read it. So this is actually the specific analogy, right, that I use when I talk about like being able to know God by energy, but not being able to necessitate you know Him by His essence. Okay, this is actually the argument that the Cappadocian Fathers use, like St. Basil, St. Gregory of Nyssa, and St. Gregory Nazianzen. It's you picture a house, right? You're a person who sees a house that was built. If the builder lives somewhere else, but builds a house in your town, you only know the builder from the operation of building, which is obviously limited, right?
And say that one more time.
So you only know anything about the builder because of the fact that he has built something.
Yeah.
Right. So you only know anything about this builder because you see a house. Mm-hmm. That would be knowing God by effects, which is not very effective, pun intended. We can say that a builder exists because there's a house. Natural deduction. Therefore, a builder must have made it. But we cannot positively say that we know anything about this builder in of himself from a house. We do not understand the builder to this degree. Right?
Okay.
Because you only see the house, so you can't know anything about the builder in of himself. Like, for example, what he likes to drink on Tuesdays. Right?
Yes.
We can possibly guess off of his creation that he's a good builder because it's well put together, or maybe he provided a ramp for disabled people. So maybe he's friendly, but we're not 100% sure about that. Right?
Yeah.
Unless the builder reaches out to you personally, an operation, and states that he is a good builder and friendly, which would be revelation, That'd be an analogy of Revelation. Now we know that the builder is friendly and good because he provided the operation of reaching out to us to tell us this fact about him. But if he sends another person to tell you about his goodness or friendliness, then it's not as confident, which is a created effect. But direct participation in the operation of this builder, like him speaking to you with his voice, is the way to know for sure that the builder is a certain way. But this is only known in the operation of him telling you that he is good. So then therefore, he is good because he operates in that manner. That does not mean that then him in of himself, right, is a good builder. That's why we would say that we would know he's not a bad builder. That would be negative theology towards his essence or what he is, right?
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but again, don't you see the obvious like potential error here?
No.
What if we don't know anything about this builder? Like we sincerely don't know anything about this builder. Just because he tells you something about himself, you don't know that he's not lying.
Yeah. No, I totally understand that. Right. So at
Like,
the end
for
of the day,
example,
at the end of the go ahead.
Like for example, my super, super, super limited understanding of divine simplicity, which I think is probably wrong. But I heard it was something like equating God with like God is goodness, truth, and beauty in like his essence.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So like I lost what I was going to say. Well, I guess what I'm saying is you still don't know. If you don't know his essence, you can't be sure that even if he directly talks to you, that he's not lying.
Well, that's implying that like the intentionality behind why something's given has to be grounded in the essence. In our view, right, God's energies, the uncreated energies, the operations themselves, are the way that we can know the way that God is necessarily. Right? So God's energies are necessary for him.
Isn't the whole thing predicated on a distinction between the essence and energies, though?
Yeah.
Like we both agree God's operations are good.
Yeah.
But you guys are making the claim that you can't know anything about his essence.
Yes, but he necessarily but he necessarily is goodness, right?
Well,
because
I
he
would
provides
say that, but he provides what?
Because of the fact that he provides goodness, that shows that he necessarily is that thing. He's not contingent in any way. He's not contingent in any way.
Well, again, I agree that God's not contingent, right? But staying with like the sake of argument. So like I'm a person, right? And let's say I'm always nice to my oldest nephew. So whenever I see him, I'll give him some candy or something. Or if he wants to ride somewhere, I'll give him a ride. I'm always nice to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so from my nephew's perspective, he would say my energies or operations or what I reveal about myself is all good. But me personally, I also could, on the other hand, there could be like another kid down the street and I just like dump water on his head every time I see him. Or like I like push him into the gutter, right? Yeah. And the point is my oldest nephew is only seeing one side of me, right? And if he's only judging who I am based off of the actions that he's experienced of me, he has no idea about who I actually am because I'm over here on the other side of town, like beating up children. I obviously aren't.
Well, I mean, we affirm divine simplicity to a degree. I mean, do you understand that?
But how can you do that if you can't say anything about God's essence in the positive sense?
Well, we're just saying that when we talk about God in the positive sense, it just refers directly to his energies. We're not saying that literally like God exists. There is an essence. Right? You can say things like that. We're saying that if you refer to an attribute of God that refers to an energy of him, that I'm not saying it refers to an effect or a created effect. It refers to the uncreated necessary operation that exists in his essence, that necessarily flows from his essence. And so what necessarily flows from that essence indirectly references of the essence. If by nature God acts in a good manner, then God is good. By nature he acts that way. So it shows that God by nature does things a certain way. And so if he does things in a certain manner, that he's necessarily like that. There's nothing contingent of him. So like the analogy of saying like, how do you know, right? But because of a human analogy of saying like, I could be nice to this guy, but then I could just go be mean to this guy. So it doesn't actually show the intentionality within myself. God is still simple to the degree where there is no contingency in him whatsoever, because your analogy necessitates some kind of contingency or change or the ability to be potent, to have potency. God has no potency. He has no potency in any sense. So if God has no potency, and God also doesn't have any contingency in himself, everything's necessary of him, then therefore if an operation proceeds from him, like goodness, then that necessitates he is good. Because there's no acts he does that are contingent. Everything he does is necessary. Does that make any more sense?
A little bit.
Your critique would make sense if I admitted contingency in God, or I admitted that God in some way, shape, or form could change, right? He receive a potency or something like that, right? If he was potent, that would make sense. Because then you could say like, okay, but he's good here, but how do we know he's always going to be good? Well, because he's unchanging. God doesn't change. So then therefore...
Well, see, that's another question. How do you know God's essence is unchanging? Like, what can you say about God's essence? Because I thought that the whole point was you can't really make any positive claims about it.
Well, saying that it's unchanging is apathetic.
And that word means like a negative thing or what? I don't know what that word means.
Yeah, the word unchanging is a negative theology. That's literally saying he doesn't change. He's not changeable. So we can say that. God isn't omnipotent? What are you talking about? How did you possibly get that I said that? I never said that God was not omnipotent. What are you talking about? I think you need to listen a little closer there, Nick. Yeah, somebody on YouTube side.
Okay.
Thank you very much, by the way, Arakota, for re-upping your membership, man. It says, keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
And this is more of a theory I'm going to throw out here.
All right.
Right? So feel free to say it already exists or it's stupid or whatever.
All right.
Right?
Yeah, go ahead.
But isn't really the essence energy distinction really describing the real distinction in personhood between God the Father and God the Son? Isn't God the Father pure being? Which I would agree that from an ontological perspective, trying to understand what pure being is on its own would be like kind of impossible. And wouldn't the energies really be like the logos or the structuring of that divine, of being itself?
No, because the Son. Are you saying that it represents it because the Father is unknowable without the Son revealing him? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that I might agree with the essence energy distinction.
All right.
If we are saying that God the Father is pure being itself, right? And I could say that being, we can't understand like being beyond what it is, right? But then I would say that the energies would literally be the logos, which is the only begotten Son of God. So I'm saying that it's literally like pure being, God the Father, begets intelligibility, which is the energies, which is the structuring of God the Father's being.
Yeah, but we wouldn't say that the Son and the Holy Spirit are not pure being.
No, no, I agree. But the being comes from God the Father, right? Even in the monarchical
Yeah, yeah. That
Trinitarianism.
the ability to be comes from the Father. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
So everybody and everything participates in God the Father's being, right?
To a degree, yeah. We participate in existence by grace rather by nature. So God exists in existence by nature, right? He naturally exists in himself. We participate in existence externally by grace.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
saying that the essence energies distinction could be, and again, I'm theorizing, the energies is literally the logos, Jesus,
Yeah.
which is the structured manifestation of God the Father's being. So there can be a real distinction there in terms of personhood, but they all work together.
I'm not
Does
really
that make
sure.
sense what I'm
I don't
saying?
I don't know why it doesn't make sense to me, but for some reason I'm not really understanding like what you mean when you're saying that represents EED. I don't get that. The Logan says is Aquinas' EED and is compatible with Palamas' EED. No, not at all. Palamas' EED actually is the thing that is dogmatized at the first Palamite Synod, and at the fourth Palamite Synod, Aquinas' understanding of EED is actually condemned and anathema. It was held by a man named Prochorus Kydonis, and his theology, specifically that he derived from the Summa, was condemned. So no, they cannot be compatible with each other. Aquinas' view of the distinction via minor real distinction or minor virtual distinction is condemned by the church, verbatim. Oh, you said isn't God omnipotent? Oh, no. That's not when I say that God is not potent. I'm saying that he doesn't possess potency in regards to being able to change. Right? I'm not talking about potent in regards to omnipotence as in power. Right? So being potent, right, as in the definition of it being power, that's not what I'm saying. When I say that God is not potent or he does not have potency, that's me saying that he cannot change. It's a different definition of potent than potency. I know what you're talking about, but Nick, I'm not talking about potency in regards to power. I'm not saying that God has no power when I say he doesn't have potency. So I blame Kant, says Bryce. I thought you didn't affirm pure act. I don't. I mean, what do you mean? I said God doesn't have potency insofar. Like when I say that, I'm talking about passive potency. You think I affirm passive potency in God just because I don't like to use the words pure act? I reject pure act insofar as it being defined in the Aristotelian terms, and I prefer to use first and second actuality properly. That doesn't mean that I believe that there's passive potency in God just because I say that. It's something that I derived from St. Philotheos Kokkinos, actually. That's like mainly where I get that from. Is that first and second actuality explanation. Because he actually talks about that against Grigoris Nikephoros.
Do you mind if I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why did the essence energies distinction come into being? Why was there a problem that this solves that I'm unaware of?
Yeah, actually. Hilariously enough, the issue first arose when Nikephoros Grigoras, Barlaam of Calabria, and Akandinos were three men that believed that the light of Tabor was created. So during the do you believe Jesus is God?
Yes.
So on the transfiguration, when it says that the divinity shone from him, the true light, would that be a created effect or?
No, I would assume that it's revealing his divine nature, which would be uncreated.
Yeah. So it'd be revealing. So it would be revealing something that's uncreated. If it reveals something uncreated, it can't be the essence, though.
Why can't it be the essence?
Because the Bible specifically says that nobody can ever see God, right? That nobody can ever know or see God. Well, yeah, but like you got to remember that God the Father like would properly represent like that that essence in the manner of not taking on something else to reveal said thing.
I did not understand what you just said.
Yeah, so God the Father, like for example, he doesn't incarnate. Everything comes from him. So he also isn't the terminus of any of his operations or acts. So technically speaking, the Father, being materially identical to the essence, is unknowable without an act himself. If the Father does not act, we do not know the Father exists. Does that make sense?
You're saying we only know the Father exists through his actions?
And I'm not saying that he only exists through his actions. I'm saying we can only know him through his actions. That's not the same thing. God exists whether or not we talk about him or not. God doesn't have to act at all to exist. I mean, technically speaking, he is eternally acting. He's existing. That's an act. He eternally exists, right? So he does exist eternally, right? He has to self-subsist. But if you're talking about it like in regards to like him providing something ad extra or external to himself, no, not at all.
You're saying God can't be more than what he already is. Is that what you're saying?
He can't be more than what he already is. Yeah.
There can't be extra to his totality, which is totality itself, right?
Yeah. So like for example, like if he creates, that's not denoting him. Therefore, like if he creates, that's not something that denotes specifically what he must be necessarily. That denotes something ad extra to himself. That denotes a power that he possesses and is used by his will. But God doesn't need anything any more than himself. So that's literally saying God does not have to create. God does not have to actualize anything outside of himself if he does not want to.
Yeah, he doesn't have to, because then he would be forced by contingency to operate that way, right?
Yeah, you'd have to say that creation is necessary for God to exist, which would be like Aristotelian and Platonic, right? They believe in prime matter, natural emanation of matter, right? We don't believe that. We believe ex nihilo, right? Instead of things being created from ex materia, like they would. And so but the reason why they believe in the necessity of matter is because there's no intentionality or personality to God in their view. So if there's no intentionality or personality, everything that he can do, he emanates. Everything. Right? So like he can't, so the impersonal monad, right? Yeah, there's no will. So this impersonal monad has the power to actualize and make matter a thing. It has to make matter a thing because there's no will or intentionality to it, right?
Yeah, because you're saying you can't have will with pure act, is what you're saying.
In the Aristotelian sense, yes, there would be no actual pure act because technically speaking, everything would be actualized no matter what. There would have to be an eternal actualizer. There'd have to be an eternal emanation from that thing. So if there is a creation that exists, therefore this creation must be eternal and necessary in order for God to be what he is.
Yeah, but again, couldn't God's pure act be within himself? And then aren't we making the mistake?
Yeah, we can accept that insofar as the persons, right? So like technically I'll say that God is pure act as in he causes his son and his spirit.
Yes.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. But I'm saying like the created world doesn't necessarily have to be pure act manifest.
No, God does. So think of it like this. God exercises eternally the act of being ad intra or internal to himself necessarily. He does not have to exercise that ad extra anything other than him if he chose not to. He does not have to then do that, right? Alex Soren for $5. Thank you very much, man. It says, check, get this man to debate con. Yeah, I know, right? We're almost there. We're almost at the full goal for that, so that's cool. What's up, Data? Data over Dogma.
Yeah, I think this is long overdue. We talked on Discord, I think, a couple of weeks back. It's the Benzo dude. We were talking about position of Lewis and Michael and how it wasn't consistent with the church. We could touch upon that, but my question would be if you were to be confirmed into an Eastern Orthodox church, would you have to affirm the dogma of gospel authorship of X, like no contradictions and such? Would that be necessary, or would that
I
not be?
mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Like, I don't know if you're gonna like this answer or not, but like affirming whether or not the gospel authorship is infallible or whatever, or the book itself is infallible. I think that's just a theolegumenon. Like, I think it's like an impious thing to not believe in.
Or,
Like, I
nah,
like
hold to traditional authorship.
yeah, it would be. I think it's considered an impious belief, but it's not the inability. Like, you can't literally not receive communion because of the fact that, like, you, for example, are skeptic about the actual scribes. Like, if you're somebody,
Okay, okay, cool.
if you're somebody who thinks, like, for example, like, let's say this, like, let's say that you think that, like, there's scribal errors in the New Testament. That does not mean that
Yeah,
then therefore now you can't take communion.
no, it's a fact. Yeah, of course.
Right? That's not a
Okay,
thing.
okay.
There's certain things that are dogmatized via canon, the via actual
Yeah,
canon law and things that are in the councils, but the councils does not specifically state that like who wrote Hebrews, right? There's a debate about
yeah, of
that to
course.
this day of who wrote
Yeah, of
Hebrews.
course.
Traditionally, you obviously would believe it's Paul because of St. John Chrysostom, where he makes that statement verbatim that Paul wrote it. That's the tradition, but it's not literally you're not anathema if you think that someone else cooked that or someone else
Would you
made that book. Sorry, I read a
would you
comment
hold
that
to?
said cooked at the same time that I said
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Agree. Would you hold to
What's up,
a
Cleve to Antiquity? How
Pauline?
you doing, man? Sorry, it was in the chat.
No, no, you're good. Would you hold to like a Pauline source in terms of Hebrews, but scribed by maybe a scribe or someone known by Paul or close to Paul in Rome? Or
Yeah,
would you
yeah.
hold to Paul like verbatim writing it?
I'm more on the fence of Paul basically being the one who he spoke Hebrews, but it was written down by somebody else.
Yeah, yeah, I agree
I
with
kind of
that. I
hold
agree
that.
with that. I agree with that.
Because
Yeah, I'm also
it's not like it's pretty obvious that Hebrews is written in a different manner than the way
yeah, of
that
course,
his
bro.
other letters are written in, right? So like it's pretty obvious that there is some difference, right? But it's traditionally known that they are Paul's words. So even if they are
Yeah,
Paul, so I believe I definitely are Paul's words. But like like GMAC, right? That could have been Timothy who physically wrote it, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I'm on TikTok, Cleve.
I guess our earliest record would be Clement, which would be traced back to Pontius, the scribe of not scribe, Bishop of Alexandria, who says I believe it was scribed by either actually was that Origin? I forgot. I remember doing an article on this, but forgot. Yeah, we could say it was scribed by an act of Paul's things, but like yeah, so it wouldn't be entirely an issue if you affirm like traditional authorship or not, correct?
Uh, saying what again? I'm sorry. Like the last part.
No, no. So, like, if you could say, like, for example, like we could see, like, in John's Gospel, you could argue whether it was written by John itself for the Johannine community. Would you say, like, if we say it was written by a scribe or written by a person itself, it wouldn't entirely be an issue, correct?
It wouldn't be an issue if you thought that like a scribe physically wrote the first copy. No,
Okay, okay, cool, cool,
right?
cool.
But it would be idiotic to state that the apostle himself did not stand right behind that person and say, "Write this down."
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine.
Right. So if you
That's fine.
think
That's
that
fine.
like it was somebody that just walked around with John, you're an idiot. Right? Like that would be
Okay,
a
okay,
problem.
cool.
Like if you think it's just like an account of what John said, because first off, John itself is already an account. Right?
Yeah, fact.
It's already an account of what they saw with Jesus. So if you hold to like one of those weird views where like you believe that John was written by a scribe who was just somebody who walked around with John, then the entire context of the way that John is written makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't in a literary manner, like linguistically, the gospels make no sense if there's some form of scribe who just third party accounts the apostles' statements. It just doesn't work.
Cool. That's my first question. The second one was is we were talking about how it wasn't a real distinction. It wasn't a real distinction within the essence and energies, and you can say it was a virtual distinction, yeah?
I would
Or was it the
definitely,
neo?
I definitely would never say that there's a virtual distinction between essence and energies ever.
Was it? Was it neo? It was Neopalamitism.
I mean, like the whole like neo-Palamite movement. I mean, it's kind of it's kind of a false flag, dude. Like I'm gonna be 100% real with you. Like there's just orthodox, and then there's just people that are wrong. And like
Very
at the end
cool.
of the day, like saying there's a real distinction doesn't entail you're a neo-Palamite. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, I guess more of so how you would view it being classical or neoclassical theism. I think would you say then in that regard it would be different?
No. I mean, like, I mean, first off, like, I think neoclassical theism, like, by itself, like, the guys that say they're Orthodox, like, I know who you're talking about, that say that they're
Yeah.
neoclassical theist, when you actually ask them about what insofar as that means, they don't actually, like, literally hold to, like, actual
Yeah, I
neoclassical
agree. I
theism.
agree. I agree.
Like,
Yeah, no,
I've asked Lewis and I've asked Michael many times. They're not, like, literal, they're not heretics, all right?
of
Like their
course they're
view,
not. They're not.
their view's not heretical. It's just
Yeah, of course.
on the surface, right? Like for example, Michael says this all the time. Part of it is rage bait, just to get people to be like, "Wait, what? I need to ask further
Yeah,
questions." When he says God has accidents, like
yeah.
he'll say that just on the surface level. He'll just be like, "Yeah, God has accidents," and you'll just be like, "What the hell did you just say to me?" Right? Like that was
Yeah,
actually one
just
of the times
refer.
where I had to like go up on his panel, and I was like, "What do you mean God has accidents? What do you mean?" And he was talking about insofar as it denoting the things that are necessary, right? So basically the effects, right? The things that are accidental are what are denoting God. So then therefore God externally has accidents, and you're just like, oh, okay, you
Yeah,
freaking dick. Like that's what you mean by that. You know what
I
I
agree
mean?
with you. Like, I was confused when he meant by what God changing intrinsically. I didn't know what he meant by that originally. I thought he meant
uh,
like qua substance. He said qua, I
He
guess,
says that God changes insofar like so when he says because that's another thing he does too. He'll say God changes, and you're just like, what do you mean by that? And he's just like, God changes insofar as the method by which he manifests his energies. I'm like, okay, whatever.
yeah.
I mean, like
No, he
I
be
guess.
weird and yeah.
Yeah, like it sounds funny. It sounds funny and it sounds bad on the surface, but when he explains it, it's just kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, whatever. I agree with you. It's just the reason why that I sound so different because like a lot of people have mentioned that I sound way different than like what Lewis and Michael say, is because I subscribe to like Saint Gennadios's language,
Okay, okay.
right? So I subscribe to the language that Saint Gennadios uses, and he uses scholastic terminology. So I use scholastic terminology. I use pure classical theism. I rely heavily on act potency. I rely heavily on all of the things that the fathers used, right, to make all these arguments. Like I think the argument for motion is pretty based. Like you know what I mean? I'm somebody who does things like that, right? I personally enjoy things like that. I love tag, but I also like classical theistic arguments as well, right? I think they're actually really good. Now, granted, I also, at the same time, though, right, like I still understand the people that don't use that language, and I don't think it's required to do. That's one of the things that are different about me versus like some of the other guys that they call Latinizers all the time is the people
Yeah.
that think that you have to use scholastic terminology to be Orthodox. That's ridiculous and not true. Let me answer a couple of these things here real quick. Eric Coda again for $5. Thank you so much, man. You're kind of like leading the super chat charge tonight. What are the philosophical problems with eternal emanationism outside of appealing to Scripture? I mean, if we're not appealing to Scripture, then there is no actual issue with that. I mean, at the end of the day, like eternal emanationism, if you don't have a Scripture, if there is no Scripture at all, there's nothing actually wrong with that logically. So, I mean, unless you want to say infinite regress, but I mean, infinite regress by itself is not a logical contradiction. It's just an unsoundness. Eric Coda again for $5 says, or what's to stop someone from saying that a personal deity chose to emanate all that it is potentially possible to be actualized? Whoa, hold on. I got to reread that. What the hell? Or what's to stop someone from saying that a personal deity chose to emanate all of that it potentially possible to be actualized? I mean, without scripture, either view is not actually incorrect. I mean, I don't. I'm about to say, like, without scripture, none of that kind of stuff is actually relevant. You know what I mean? Because like if there theoretically was never a personal revealing of God the Father in any sense, then all of these like ancient philosophers would probably be the leading worldview in religion and philosophy. This kind of like monad deistic view. Like that, I think, would be the primary religion if Christianity never arose at all. Like, when you say like, oh, without scripture, then whatever, like, yeah, sure. I mean, then if there was no scripture, if there never was a scripture that was ever revealed at all, then the closest people to the truth would have been people like Plato, Aristotle, and Plotinus and those guys. They would, technically speaking, be the most orthodox because there would be nothing revealed yet. Right?
Wouldn't a monad, by definition, be contingent on its creation to have reference to its divine status?
Yeah, that's why the impersonal monad, that's why it necessitates a creation. Because if it has the ability to create something, it must cause something, therefore it can be predicated to now that there's something outside of it. That's their argument as to how you can know this monad. That's actually like kind of the way that the argument from motion goes.
Yeah,
like is that if there's motion, then there has to be a mover. Yeah. The five ways are just taken from like Aristotle and Plato. Like the argument for motion is an Aristotelian argument based off of how motion works, where it would say like, oh, okay, so if there is something that is motion, therefore there is something that is moved, therefore there is something that moves said thing that is moved, and then therefore there must be a prime mover or a basically an unmoved mover that ends, right? Because they don't want to accept an eternal motion, right? Because then there wouldn't be a way to actually determine any motion at all.
Do you remember Aquinas's argument? I know I'm talking about Aquinas on an Orthodox stream, but
it's fine.
I was talking to this guy. He was like an agnostic, and he basically believed that when you die, you just cease to possess consciousness, so you don't experience the void. But I was explaining to him that like without Christianity, there's no hope. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, like a Occam's razor, or kind of like a Occam's razor, not Occam's razor. I'm sorry, what is it called? What's the
Pascal's wager?
Yeah, Pascal's wager. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I was like, well, you're presupposing that consciousness emerges from material reality. But I remember one of the Aquinas arguments was saying that unintelligent objects behave intelligently. So like a rock itself, if you drop it off a cliff, the rock is going to like roll down the cliff. Mm-hmm. But the rock itself has no agency. So therefore there's an external intelligence like imposing itself on the rock that the rock is behaving with.
Yeah.
Which mainly just to say that consciousness doesn't necessarily emerge from the material reality. The material reality is contingent on like a divine consciousness.
Yeah, a divine conceptualist argument.
Yeah, isn't that like, doesn't Aquinas say something like that in one of his 5 ways?
Well, so that's not Aquinas' argument. That's called the Augustinian proof.
Oh, okay.
So the Augustinian proof is basically the necessity for concepts to exist relies on an eternal knower to a degree, right? Like in any degree. Where like a conceptual or like an idealistic view where like things exist if they're perceived. Therefore, if things exist outside of any humans perceiving them, there must be an eternal perceiver, right? Things like that. Right? That's kind of like Augustine's argument for God. It's called the Augustinian proof.
Could you explain divine simplicity to me? Like, do you know it well enough to do that?
Yeah.
Or I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, so it's talking about specifically the identity of God. God is not composite. God cannot change, and God needs nothing more than what he exists as from eternity. So those are the basic requirements for divine simplicity to be the case. If God applies to all of these categories, then therefore he is simple. And you can say that he properly exists in a simple manner because of these. So then therefore, in a way, you could say that God is identical to his attributes, right? The title God is identical to his attributes. You could say that the persons are identical to the essence materially. You could say that the energies are identical to the essence materially. Energies are identical materially. If you follow, obviously, Aristotelian notions of identity, then material identity would follow that everything of God would be identical in that manner. And so then God would be simple insofar as all of that. So then, therefore, we affirm divine simplicity in that degree. But that's about it.
But if he's not composite, then how is he Trinitarian?
Well, because that necessitates that then, therefore, the persons are parts. Right? So the persons wouldn't be considered parts because each person denotes the whole. If each person denotes the whole, then, therefore, they cannot be parts of a whole because each person 100% denotes the whole itself. So they can't be parts because there's not 35% or 36 or whatever percent of each. The name God does not apply 36% to the Father. It applies 100% to the Father, 100% to the Son, 100% to the Spirit. Perichoresis is called the mutual indwelling. They by eternity they indwell each other, right? So there's no parts that make up what God is. All three persons are eternally 100% God.
Nice, Jay.
Well, if that was true, then couldn't they exist on their own, independent of each other?
No, they cannot exist independent of one another. No, they all rely on each other to exist. It's natural for God to be the Father and cause the Son and Spirit, no matter what. In order for the Father to be the Father, he has to have a Son. In order for the Spirit to exist, he must be caused by the Father, right? And then he must rest in that Son. So these things are absolutely necessary in order for God to exist in the first place. These are necessary by nature. So there's no way, in any way, shape, or form, to predicate an independent existence of any of the persons of the Trinity.
And what is the Holy Spirit's role within the Trinity? I kind of get confused on that because I understand God the Father kind of as being,
yeah,
and the Son as the Logos incarnate.
The Holy Spirit,
but
the Holy Spirit is the love of the Father and the Son.
So the Holy Spirit is like love, like love is a personhood, the same way truth is a person with Christ.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, pretty much. That's the way it's described.
And so, like, what does love mean in that context? That's where I kind of get confused.
Yeah, the eternal wanting to be with. So the Father and the Son eternally wanting to be with each other is manifest as the existence of the Spirit as a person. This is St. Augustine's psychological analogy of mind, truth, and love. This is one of the reasons why the Catholics came up with the Filioque doctrine, because of the fact that they think that in order for the Holy Spirit to be the love of the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit must proceed by existence from both, which we do not affirm.
See, I believe the Orthodox's position on procession coming uniquely from God the Father.
Well, that also protects simplicity when you think about it as well. The monarchy of the Father being the sole arche, for the absolute simple sole arche of the entirety of anything proceeding or existing in any degree, it protects simplicity. There is an absolutely simple, pure, just singular point of all existence in any way, shape, or form, whether that be the two persons of the Trinity, the other two persons of the Trinity, or creation. So it actually makes simplicity even easier to understand. Let me see. Oh, here we go. 03 Scumbag for $5. Thank you very much, man. He says, check what I just posted in the Discord chat from Dyer. Pope calling to accept LGBT unions. No way. That did not happen. Hold on. Yikes. Hold on. Sonoro Templi, the Italian church, among the improved local churches overcoming discriminatory attitudes, sometimes widespread in ecclesiastical circles and society, commit to promoting the recognition and support of homosexual and transgender people, as well as their parents who belong to the Christian community. That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Yo,
That did not happen.
that's
That didn't happen. I'm gonna have to wait for that to actually like officially come out of the Pope's mouth. I'm not. No, bro, no.
so I have a question for a little bit. I have two questions. This is like off topic, it isn't really philosophy. This would just be early Christianity in totality. So my question would be is if would you say Origin would be classed as saint if he didn't talk about like his theology of soul and how the soul, I think soul and body and that specific theology, I think you held like a Gnostic type of view in that sense. You think if he didn't go in depth in that, and like a Gnostic type, what was it, Gnostic side kind of sense, or the way he spoke in the sense of like a Gnostic, would you say he would be classified as a saint, or even with that, his theology within the Trinity, within the, I guess, co-equality and same substance? As the Father and the Son and the Spirit would still deem him as a heretic.
Well, so in case you haven't read it already, if you read the anathemas of the Fifth Ecumenical Council, you can actually learn about every single specific thing that Origen was condemned for. Because
I heard he
Origen,
got condemned 14 times.
oh, he got condemned for a lot of things. All right, yeah. So he believed in the pre-existence of souls. He believed in ex materia to a degree, as well of creation.
Yeah.
He also held to a universal view. So he believed that salvation was universal to all souls directly,
Yeah.
which is obviously heresy as well. Okay.
Of course.
And then he also believed that the sun and the moon, or the celestial bodies, were angels and demons.
Lord.
That's also anathema.
Yeah. Nah.
And he also believed that the Trinity was represented in a psychological way that we cannot affirm. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was really strange, and we can't affirm it. As well as the fact that Origen's Christology was really weird.
No, I agree. Like, there's definitely, like, I've read the first book of De Principles. Honestly, what I've seen, in chapter 3 specifically, the whole section like rings subordinatism, but also rings Nicene Trinitarianism.
Yeah.
It's actually wicked.
Monkey says Bryce thoughts on all these OOs up and coming like Zaza and Arsenius. Zaza is superior to Arsenius. Me and Zaza are very cordial. I've had a couple debates with him, actually. Me and Arsenius had a conversation one time, and it didn't really go anywhere. So Zaza, W Zaza, he's cool. But he's cool OO. I've debated him multiple times on Christology.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Monkey, of course.
So,
sorry.
You guys, you believe in uncreated grace, right?
Yeah.
So why is that like an issue between why is that an issue between you, Eastern Orthodoxy, and Catholicism?
Because in our view, in order for something to actually come from God, we must receive it in its manner which it actually exists, or in an uncreated manner. So then it follows then in our view that if you believe that the grace that is received is some form of like packaged creation, you're not actually receiving something from God. Right, so it says the created effects type thing, where like all forms of things that are received directly from God are still created themselves. Then God is basically just creating things or providing creatures that then change us, which is then not actually partaking with God.
Oh, so you're saying grace is what allows you to partake in theosis, which is literally you becoming more divine.
Yes.
But if it was a created grace, then you're becoming a creature.
You're not becoming any more divine. You're not becoming any more divine than you already exist as, which is not. Theosis doesn't make any sense with that entailment.
Well, my question would be, are there unique graces that manifest at particular points in your life?
I mean,
And if so, like, would God have to have everything planned out in order for you to receive that uncreated grace at that unique point in time?
well, so I mean, God choosing to provide grace to you, whether or not it's created or uncreated, kind of still has this same kind of question askable, right? Because like you'd have to say like, does God choose to create this infusion of grace for you at this specific time because he has to plan things out? It's rather that God's foreknowledge, right? Because God foreknows exactly what you're going to do in your life and what you're going to respond to and what you're not going to respond to. God is going to provide things at the appropriate time to you. He's going to manifest his energies to you at the appropriate hour. Right. The same reason how like Jesus talks about the hour and the appropriate hour for knowing certain things and doing certain things. It's the same thing in the degree of basically God revealing or manifesting grace to you at the appropriate time, where it's something that he would know and then he would provide according to the contingent worlds. Which that thing would then manifest as the effect of whatever that uncreated energy would be you changing from that energy, right? So it's a general statement, right? Grace is it's a general energy. It's a very general statement of like something that's provided to you. Something like, for example, God loosening your heart, right? God loosening your heart on your grudge towards somebody could be considered uncreated grace. Right. Like that. But then like you also could have another situation where like you end up being able to block lust out of your mind because God grants you that. Right. Both of them are grace, but they have different, they manifest in a different manner to us based off of the situation going on in the created world.
Well, would you agree there's different types of grace?
I mean, according to us, yes.
And are all different types of grace uncreated?
Well, I mean, so like God, like the actual, like truly uncreated energy is one. There is one proper, truly uncreated energy that exists. It's one res. There's one singular uncreated nature, right? In general, God is one in that manner, totally. If we're talking about it in terms of different formalities or perfections that are in God, which are grounded in God, these are objective definitions, right? These are still grounded in God, but God doesn't actually exist as all of these different energies. Rather, he has one energy that he manifests in different manners at the appropriate hour, which then they're still uncreated, but there's different ways by which it's shown.
Okay. That's cool. And then I guess I have one more question and then I'll jump off because I feel like I've eaten up too much of your time already.
Yeah.
I was watching that Jay Dyer debate. I wish I could remember the other guy's name. He seemed like an Italian bro. But it kind of sounded like Orthodoxy recognized like the Pope like in the first 1,000 years.
In a way,
but they disagree. Yeah, and then it's like more disagreeing with the scope of it, of his power.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then my question is, so do you guys still recognize the Pope and you just think he's going beyond what he's
No, we don't. The Pope is not in communion with us, so we do not recognize him as a valid bishop.
Okay, but wouldn't that like create like a contradiction in Eastern Orthodoxy to go from Pope to no Pope?
No, because the Pope existing is not necessary for the Orthodox Church to exist. The Pope would have an honorary authority by which that he would be able to exercise at those appointed times, but he is fallible as much as any other patriarch that can be removed from communion. And so if the Roman pontiff decides to break communion with the church, that doesn't make the church no longer exist just because the Pope leaves.
Okay. Yeah, so the Pope could come back in hypothetically.
Yeah, he would just have to concede to our position on how he exists.
Yeah. So you're just saying it's like the same way different Orthodox churches can not be in direct communion with one another through their choices, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean,
Okay, cool.
if Rome decides to dip out and no longer be in communion with Christ's church, that's their decision. They're fallible enough to do that. And that's what they're doing right now. They've been doing that since 1054.
Okay, cool. Well, Bryce, I appreciate you letting me up again. As always, I really enjoy our talks.
Yeah, sure thing.
Thanks for letting me pick your brain. I appreciate it.
Cool. God bless.
God bless.
What's up,
Yo,
man?
hello, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yo, what's up, man?
I was just curious because I'm not gonna lie, I've been seeing so many Oriental Orthodox like people, debating online and stuff like that. I've been seeing like all these like up and coming names, like you said earlier, like Zaza and Agen and all these people.
Yeah.
And it's confusing because it's hard to understand Christology because I've been trying to like learn Christology and it's just really hard to understand. But I was just like, I was wondering like, what's a good starting point to learn Saint Cyril's,
I'm gonna be real with you. Like, if you're trying, like, are you a Diophysite?
Yeah, I'm Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah. So if you're Eastern Orthodox, I wouldn't go straight to reading Cyril.
Well, yeah, I know.
I
like,
would.
in
I would.
Chalcedon.
No. I'm saying that you should read John of Damascus and Maximus prior to that.
Okay.
When it comes to Christology, right? Because John of Damascus and Maximus and Leontius of Jerusalem as well, is that if you can read all three of those guys first about the Christology argumentation of Cyril, and then obviously understand the context between Chalcedon and Constantinople II, so those councils as well. If you understand generally those main things, Maximus is not actually that complex in his Christological arguments. Letter 12 through 15 is actually not that bad at all. Like, I can say that, and granted, like, I've read the Ambigua, it's not that bad. But if you can read all of that stuff and understand generally all of that, then you read Cyril. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you don't read our fathers on this matter, and then you go straight to reading Cyril, he's extremely difficult to read. Cyril himself is extremely difficult to read. It's the same thing with like St. Gregory Nazianzen. Like, one of the most difficult works ever to exist in Christian theology, besides the Philokalia, is St. Maximus's Ambigua. And the Ambigua is just a commentary on St. Gregory Nazianzen's orations, bro.
That's crazy.
So what does that mean about St. Gregory Nazianzen? Right, so you have to read the guys who comment on the theologians first, and then read the theologians for yourself. Because if you go straight to Cyril, first off, he is so complicated in so many ways.
Yeah.
In his way on the Trinity, in his work, the Thesaurus on the Holy and Consubstantial Trinity, honestly, the hardest work of the Trinity I've ever read in my life.
Yeah.
That shit is insanely complicated, bro.
The only main question I would have is, because I don't think I'm in Bryce Court yet, but I'm in Agen server, and I saw this Eastern Orthodox guy asked a question, and he asked something about Saint Cyril's quote, and this guy had responded about it. It was Saint Cyril quoted something about like, was it Corinthians, where we have to have like the mind like Christ, and then they were asking, because in Eastern Orthodoxy we believe Christ has two minds, right? The divine mind and the human mind, correct?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, mind is proper to nature. So if Christ has two minds, Christ has two natures. He has two minds. That's the simple argument of Constantinople II. Constantinople II and Constantinople III.
So when they quote something like that, what would that be pertaining to? Like the divine mind? Like if it says, I forgot what the quote was, but it was something along the lines like, it was Saint Cyril's like commentary on Corinthians, or where it says, like we have to be like. We have to have the mind of Christ or something like that.
Yeah, we have to have the mind of Christ because he's talking about his human mind insofar as it being completely in line with the divine mind.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I understand that, yeah.
Yeah, we have to have the mind of Christ because our mind needs to be completely in conjunction and perfection as a human with the divine mind, like Christ's mind was, insofar as him obviously having a human mind.
Okay. Yeah, I just see a lot of Oriental Orthodox people like really aggressive online. Like, yo, all these Eastern Orthodox people are Nestorians, bro. Like, it's
they're not. Yeah, we're not Nestorians. If you actually look at what was specifically anathematized at Ephesus, nothing that we believe in was anathematized at Ephesus. Literally none of it.
Yeah, couldn't we just say like Nestorius affirmed two persons?
I mean, he did affirm
and-
two persons, right? So person in our view is hypostasis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so Nestorius' formula is a prosopic union of one prosopon and two hypostases after the union. He believed in two hypostases after the union. That's two persons. We don't believe that.
All right. Yeah. I know. It just some of the stuff is complicated now, but that's it though. Thank you, bro. God bless.
Yeah. God bless.
Hello.
Yeah. What's up?
I was gonna ask you two things. The first thing I was gonna ask you, would you say like the processions of like both of the persons or just one of the persons, right? The first or the second person of the Trinity would be like through the intellect? Because I know there's different views in the Orthodox Church, right?
I'm talking about like through will and volition.
Yeah, or will and
Yeah.
intellect, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you affirm that?
Yep.
Okay. I forgot the second thing I was gonna ask you, man. Oh, I heard that you had a paper for the formal actual distinction.
I do. Yeah.
Um,
I make an
could
argument,
you-
basically, kind of like arguing for the necessity of it. Actually, yeah.
Well, what would you use to like prove the necessity? Right.
Basically, the argument that I make is that anything less than a formal actual distinction necessitates severe issues. So, let me bring up.
Oh, like
Go ahead.
I know, like the Mastrius, his view of the formal distinction, it might be very different from what you think it is. He would say
Mastrius?
like a formal distinction.
Mastrius?
Yeah, Bartholomew.
Like
He's a Scottish scholastic.
Oh yeah, well I mean yeah, like so the SCOTUS formal distinction is not identical to the formal actual distinction in Gennadios.
Well, like I'll give you what he says it is. He says it's like a inseparable formality, or like different reality. You could say.
Yeah, we would say that it's an inseparable formality as well, but we would also kind of denote more of an ends or a being, an actual perfection grounded in God directly to that said formality, right? So it has more grounds of existence to it. Let me pull this up. Here.
Okay.
No. Looking for the thing here specifically. All right, so this is kind of like the preface that I give of the reasoning for this, okay? I'll just read the preface of the document. One of the biggest conversations that exists in debates between the East and the West is the argument of distinctions in God. Does God have distinctions in of himself? Are the essence of the energies really distinct or conceptually distinct? How do we ascend to know the cause from the effect seen in creation? I thought about this type of argument that I want to present today as a positive account for the Orthodox formal actual or real distinction in God by demonstrating how anything less than this distinction actually leads to a devastating uncertainty about the Christian worldview. The specific distinction I'm going to attempt to attack today is the Thomistic virtual distinction, specifically the way that it is purported using as eminences by John Poinsot, or John of St. Thomas as he's known as, in his Cursus Philosophicus Thomisticus and Tommaso Maria Zigliara in his Summa Philosophica. Based on my argument I'm going to present, I believe I can demonstrate the necessity of affirming a formal actualities in God, and show that any real effect must also show, in some sense, a real cause, and does not denote only the efficient cause. It does not denote the efficient cause itself, but rather the formal cause as energy or a formal actuality of the essence, rather than collapsing as essence itself, since the essence of God is unknowable. Meaning, if we attribute the formal cause of certain effects to just essence, then there's no way to apprehend the efficient cause. So the short conclusion that I show in this preface is that if existence is energy, as universally accepted by all patristics, and it is represented in a created effect, then that does not denote a proper formal actuality in God. Then you cannot even know that God exists. That's the main argument that I give.
Remind me what P1 was first.
Well, so the overall argument is that existence is an energy as universally accepted by all the fathers. So if existence is an energy, and we can only know about the term of existence through the effect, which is what is denoted by the Thomistic distinctions of the virtual distinction, right? The virtualities
Wait, the
are
term of existence.
What?
Are you saying like a terminus of the existence?
Well, so to know the actual like the actual existence itself. Right, to know that God exists, that he actively, eternally exists. We know this because of the created effects in their view.
Yeah.
So the virtual
Yeah.
distinction, right? We know is essence based off of understanding virtualities or effects of the uncreated one singular formality that exists. Right. So then, therefore, you can't. And so the energies or the acts of God denote a formal cause. And so then, therefore, if existence is an energy and we only know it by a created effect, it does not actually denote a proper formality in God, because it only just denotes a virtuality, which doesn't actually exist in God. So then, therefore, you can't actually positively say that God exists, because it's not a formality. It's not an actual formality in God. It's a virtuality.
Okay. I was gonna ask you also. Well, I think the argument it sounds nice. But what would you say about like the? It seems like the most of the modern people try to collapse the formal distinction into like some type of virtual distinction or conceptual distinction.
They're stupid.
They're stupid.
Yeah, it's anathema. It's anathema in the Orthodox Church to do that. So the Fourth Palamite Synod literally freaking condemns a conceptual distinction. So I mean,
Yeah, I remember. I think Saint Thomas gets around it by saying that the virtual distinction is a real distinction.
yeah, saying that it's fundamentum in re, right? But it's one singular formality. But that one singular formality denotes many different virtualities, which these virtualities are not grounded in God.
I mean, well, even John of Saint Thomas, I'm pretty sure he even says that this thing is grounded in God.
Yeah, if
Or
it's
grounded in
grounded,
the
the virtuality
I don't
is
feel
not.
like.
The formality is.
Well, I don't feel like going on my computer to showing you the quote, but maybe if you have a Discord or something.
Yeah, you can send
I'll
it.
show
You can send it to me on Discord. I mean, like I said, I understand. Like I read John of Saint Thomas. I've read John Poinso. I read specifically the Cursus Philosophicus Thomisticus. Right, like the virtuality, right? The virtuality itself is not grounded in the thing.
I think he says it verbatim. Actually, I'm pretty sure.
The virtuality is something that doesn't actually positively denote a formality. It's something that is conceptual off of the one making the distinction. It's not what, so then therefore if you affirm that you're able to properly denote multiple formalities per se.
Well, maybe
I can do it. Oh, okay. Sounds good. Are you I'll take that. Are you going downstairs now? Oh, baby's asleep? Okay. I was just curious because I kind of need you while I clean it. While I clean the cage, because they have to take the Okay. Would I be able to just do it when I get home from work tomorrow? Would that maybe be easier?
I'll have to do it while you're at work then. It's gotta go out with trash.
All right. I was about to say, it's probably just not going to work because of the baby. Like the chance of the baby waking up while you're holding the rat is high, and that just sounds like a nightmare. Okay. Just I'll let you know. But it doesn't take long. It takes like 5 minutes anyway. Sorry, I own a rat. I own a pet rat.
Nah, you're good. I'm gonna go to sleep, but I'll text you on Discord. All right.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
All right. Have a good day.
You
Or
too.
a good night.
Yeah, you too. Alrighty. I don't have anybody else currently. I'm probably going to go ahead and cut it here. That was a good little like Q&A / small debate night at the beginning there. I want to start doing these lives more. I apologize about not being available recently. I've just kind of took a little bit of a hiatus because I'm kind of preparing for some formal debates. I have 2 formal debates coming up. I have a formal debate that's going to be on December 14th. It's going to be Lewis and me versus Halal Christian and Gumbo. And it's going to be on whether or not Jesus is the most high God according to the scriptures and pre-Nicene history. So that is an argument. Okay. And then I have another formal debate with Talon, the Catholic, on November 24th. It's not in December anymore. It's November 24th, and it is on whether or not Chalcedon teaches the Vatican I papacy. Okay, so those are my 2 formal debates that I have coming up. yeah. So boom. You guys are going to get 2 more formal debates out of me soon. And especially the one against Halal Christian and Gumbo is going to be hilarious. November 24th, Joshua, for the one versus me and Talon, which is going to be a debate specifically on whether or not Chalcedon, the Council of Chalcedon, taught the Vatican I papacy. Okay. So, yeah. And then December 14th is whether or not Jesus is the Most High God according to the Scriptures and pre-Nicene history. So, yeah. Easy aura farming for both. Know what I'm saying? Yeah. You want to see my rat? This is Remy. Remy is my pet rat. Super chill. Hi, sweetie. How you doing? The pet rat. All right, here you go. He's running away. That. Yeah, I have 2 dogs, Jimmy. What's your response to the trolley dilemma? The trolley dilemma? I don't. Are you talking about like hit the switch and unalive one person, or let it go and hit 3? Is that what you mean by the trolley dilemma? What do you mean by that? But I have 2 dogs. But yeah, rat's epic. Yeah, I would just hit the switch and unalive the one guy. See, now I'm about to leave because why do you have that as a pet? Slim, rats are epic. You don't have to just leave just because I have a pet rat. That's not cool. That's a discrimination, actually. You're discriminating against my rat enjoyer mentality. Rats are epic. They are tiny puppies. Exactly, Anthony. Thank you. They're literally tiny puppies, bro. And they don't bite. They're super chill. They love to kiss you, bro. They're epic. Yeah, but anyway, I'll catch you guys later, man. Appreciate the stream today. It was nice and chill. It wasn't too bad. Had a couple little debates. It wasn't horrible. But I'll keep doing these more, guys. I promise. I'm going to get back into doing more lives. All right. I'm at a loss for words clutching my pearls. Slim, you got to freaking beat whatever weird issue you got, man. They're not bad animals. They're really nice, actually. Having a pet rat has to be heretical. Okay, you know what? I'm ending stream. You guys suck.